Hey, what's up out there, internet world? It's your bearded brother, Matt!
Hi.
That's the bearded brother, Chris, and we're back yet again with yet another sports podcast. Today, we got a lot to talk about. I'm introducing a new segment. Chris is bringing a segment back. We've got a lot of fun headed up for all of this. Unfortunately, we're going to start with the injury report, which not great, especially if you're a Lions fan. As Aiden Hutchinson has broken his tibia and his fibula, and he will be out for most likely the season. Recovery time on that, they said 6 to 8 weeks, potentially longer. That to me sounds like if the Lions make the playoffs and make a good run, he might be back for, like, if they go to the National League championship game. The NLCS. He could be back for that. But I don't know that the Lions are going to take any risks with him on this. So he may just be shut down for the season. He had to go and have immediate surgery in Dallas on his leg. Which, never a good sign. Let's be honest. Never a good sign. So, yeah, that's a no bueno. On the positive injury front, it looks like Nick Chubb and possibly TJ Hawkinson should be making their returns this coming week.
That's what it sounds like.
Yep, that's what it sounds like. And I am fairly happy for both of them. Was there another major... Oh, there was. Marvin Harrison Jr. got removed from the game against the Packers. It does look like he's got some kind of concussion. So he'll be out for a little bit. I think that's about all I can think of off the top of my head. Did I miss anybody major?
What?
Did I miss any other injuries that I should have talked about?
No, I don't think so. I'm trying to think if there were any other injuries that really were major. But I don't think so.
I can't think of any. Like MHJ was a decent one. That was kind of big. Like I said, I don't think of any other big time ones. You know.
No. Trying to think, because there were some people that ended up being out last week.
Yeah, James Cook was out last minute.
But I don't know if there was any major. Yeah, I can't.
I don't think that was
injuries.
major. I think that was more maintenance than anything
No.
else. Yeah. No, can't think of anything else. All right, next big thing to talk about. Shoes have dropped. Shoes, multiple.
Okay.
As the trade deadline approaches, there are 3 that we need to talk about already. First off, we'll start with the least interesting one, in my opinion. The Texans have traded Cam Akers to the Vikings.
Well, back to the Vikings.
Back to the Vikings. I don't think he got traded. I think he left the Vikings, got signed by the Texans, and then traded back to them.
I don't know. There was. I think there was a trade. I'd had to double check
I thought his contract was up at the end of the season, and we just let him walk.
I know, but I thought they traded him right before that. But maybe I'm wrong. I might be wrong. I thought I read something that happened, but I might be misremembering what I read.
You might be misremembering that. I do think he just walked in free agency, and now the Texans have traded him right back to Minnesota.
But it's just funny because we traded for him from the Rams for sure.
Yes. I don't know why we didn't just bother to try and keep him then. And I also don't know if this says to me that the injury to Jones is worse than we think.
Well, I don't think so, because everything I've read indicates that he's going to play.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So, I think it's more that they don't
trust... I think they just want to split... I think they just want to... Well, Ty has been doing well, but I think that they want. I think they want just in case if one of the other guys does go down, that they have a solid third back
Yeah,
in
and
the room.
I
To be
think
honest.
what it also is maybe they don't fully after Jones went down, Ty didn't do a whole lot, so maybe they want somebody that might do better in that slot.
Possibly, but I think that they just want to have another person that they can
Yeah,
slot in to
yeah,
not only reduce fatigue on the rest of the other guys,
exactly. You can
but
rotate a
also
third
like
guy in there, especially a guy because one of the things that he does well is catch passes.
I was gonna say he's a really good at pass catching. But if you don't, I mean, he still ran in our scheme at least fairly well last year
Yeah,
when he
he ran
did
fairly
before
well
he
in
has
the
injury.
scheme,
So
so yeah, we'll have to see how all of
yeah,
that goes.
yeah.
Next big one. I don't remember what the return that we had to give up for him was. I can't imagine it was much.
Yeah, I think it was like a sixth or something like that. I don't
Yeah.
remember.
The next big one is that from the Browns, Amari Cooper, is now a Bill. The trade package was Cooper and I want to say it was like a fifth rounder this year, for a third rounder next year, and a sixth or seventh rounder the year after that.
Yeah, something like that. It's pretty reasonable to me.
Yeah, that's a very reasonable trade for Amari
Also,
Cooper.
if there's anything that says that the Browns are already selling already, or like, fucking hell.
I was gonna say if they're in sale mode, maybe the Lions should pick up the phone and ask about the availability of Myles Garrett.
I was gonna say that might not be a bad option for him, though. I think there's gonna be a lot more other. The thing is, it's weird that he hasn't been on the field, but I'm now wondering if that was a choice.
Maybe. And maybe it's a choice by the Browns to try to keep him healthy so they can trade him.
That's possible.
Um,
Because there's gonna be other teams
Also,
that
one
definitely
would
be calling
wonder
about
with the
that.
Raiders having done what they did, we'll get to that in a minute, if Max Crosby might not come available.
Maybe it's possible.
We'll have to see. Speaking of, by the way, I think that trade helps both teams. It gives the Browns more draft capital, and it gives the Bills a true full-on number one receiver, which they quite obviously do need.
Yeah.
Which I like. It'll also help them bring along their young pass catcher.
Yep.
Speaking of which, I made a joke and I sent an image to Chris, and I don't know if he got a chuckle out of it or not. But
I mean, it is what it is.
yeah, but the New York Packers have acquired from the Raiders wide receiver Davante Adams. And yes, I made the joke that they're the New York Packers because that's what they're beginning to frickin' look like. They traded away what is essentially a conditional third-round pick in this upcoming draft. My understanding is that it becomes a second-rounder, which is what the Raiders actually wanted, if Adams makes first or second team All-Pro, and I don't know if it's and or plays in either the AFC Championship game or the Super Bowl. There's a couple of conditions attached there. I don't remember if that's an and or in there, but I know both of those things are conditions. So there's potential that it could just be a third, which that's amazing for Davante Adams. Mm-hmm. Let's be realistic. And him going back to Aaron Rodgers and playing at his side is a big deal. I think it's pretty amazing. At least for him. For everybody else in that division, probably not so much.
I mean, weirdly enough, I will say, could be coincidence, but after they changed play callers, they did play a little better.
They did. I was going to bring that up when we review that game, because there's a certain guy who's been pretty absent for a lot of the season who suddenly came out and had a game.
Now, we'll see if that carries on or if that was just kind of coincidental.
Because usually stuff like that happens when.
Because we did also have that. Don't forget, we did have that crazy week 3 where they looked really good. And we were all like, oh well, maybe everything's gonna be all right. And then
Yeah.
And then everything that happened after that happened.
Yep. All right. Before we go on,
Hmm.
I want to play a game with you. Would you like
Well,
to
that's
play? Would you like to
you're not a
play a game?
saw. You're not saw. Go away. You're not jigsaw.
Nope. I call this Hoff or Hog. Hall of Fame or Hall of Good / Great. Yeah.
Okay.
What I'm going to do, you're going to have to blind react to this because I'm going to read you stats. I'm going to tell you ahead of time. These are all quarterbacks. They have all either retired recently or are expected to retire soon. Okay? And you're going to tell me
No,
by
I
hearing
got
the
you.
stats whether you think they're Hall of Fame worthy or whether they belong in the Hall of Good / Great, and I will also give you accolades for them. I will not tell you who they are until after we're finished.
Well, I feel like hold on. No, I feel like for me to accurately be able to do that, I needed to know a quarterback's stats that's already in the Hall of Fame to be able to accurately judge to understand what's already
Okay,
considered.
I can look one up real quick then. I do
Yeah,
not
I
have a
just want
problem
something to
looking that
kind of
up.
compare to,
So
just
I
a
will.
basis.
Yeah, no, just on a basis. Do you want
Yeah.
a more recent one or an older one?
Probably a more recent one would be better to go off of.
All right.
Give me just kind of a general idea.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And then whichever one you find, just tell me. Don't tell me who it is, but tell me what years they played in. Because not necessarily when they got inducted in doesn't matter when they got played in. So pick if you can find a quarterback that's been more recently played or more in like a certain years. Just let me know which years they
Oh yeah.
played in, so I know.
So
Yeah.
this one played from '98 to 2015.
Okay.
Good enough.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's fair to compare people to him, but these are the stats that you're looking at that he got in with.
Okay.
He played in 266 games.
Hmm.
He completed 6,125 passes out of 9,380 for a 65.3% completion rating. He
Hmm.
passed for 71,940 yards. He had 539 touchdowns to 251 interceptions. And accolades, obviously Hall of Fame. He was a 14-time All-Pro, a 14-time Pro Bowler, a 7-time All-Pro, a 2-time Super Bowl champion, and a 5-time MVP winner. A comeback player of the year, 2-time offensive player of the year, and a rookie of the year.
Hmm.
He was also the recipient of the Walter Payton Man of the Year award.
That doesn't shock me.
So, not telling you who that was, but those are your stats.
No, that's fair.
Does that work for you?
Yep.
All right, you ready? Your
Yeah.
first quarterback played 236 games. He completed 4,885 passes out of 8,119 for a 60.3% completion rating. He passed for 57,023 yards, 366 touchdowns to 244 interceptions. He was a 4-time All-Pro, a 2-time Super Bowl champion, a 2-time Super Bowl MVP, and won the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. Hoff or Hog?
Gosh, just like the number of stats is just a lot of numbers and trying to
Yes, but that's kind of the point.
um cuz it's almost too much to try to take in at once.
Sorry.
It's a lot. No, it's just trying to think of a way in my brain to kind of organize things. Um hmm,
Do you need them again, but slower?
No. I was gonna ask, is there a stat for like total wins to losses?
There is, but I did not write that down. Would you like it?
It would be a little. It might be. It might help me kind of narrow
Sure.
where I want to put, how I want to narrow things a little thing.
Sure, absolutely. I can give you his wins and losses. That is not a problem whatsoever. Total wins to losses 117 to 117.
Wow, dead even. Okay.
Dead even.
Obviously had a couple good seasons, but must not have been great. Tell me this. I mean, I don't want to say great. This tells me that they are a great quarterback, but is it beyond that certain level? Did they just have a couple good seasons and that was pretty much it? And then everything was kind of just pretty good? Does that qualify as Hall of Fame worthy? That's a tough one. I would say yes, but not first ballot.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. I will tell you after the whole thing is over who you chose and who you left off. Okay?
Mm.
This next quarterback has played a total of 237 games. His record is 150, 79, and 1. He has completed 5,135 passes of 7,878 thrown for a 65.2% completion rating for 60,442 yards. He has 484 touchdowns to 110 interceptions. He is a 10-time Pro Bowler, a 4-time All-Pro, 1-time Super Bowl winner, 4-time MVP, and 1-time Offensive Player of the Year.
Out of curiosity, I think another thing that might help me a little bit to kind of figure out
Sure.
how many seasons did they play?
Currently 20 years.
20 years. Okay.
20 years.
Yeah, years is fine. Yeah, so that's how long they played in the league. Okay, so because that also helps me figure out like, is this like something they did over a long span of time, or was it just like a really good short span of time, but then they like burned out?
Understand.
Okay, so this was somebody who's definitely was around for a while, had some obvious good success. Only one Super Bowl though, which means that they either were playing on a, but then they had a lot of win losses, which is interesting because that means they must have been like a consistently winning team that just couldn't ever get over that hump for some reason.
Yes, that could mean that.
Um, which means that this quarterback is actually probably a decent quarterback. Definitely falls into the great category. Are we going into the Hall of Fame? I mean, those are pretty good stats. It would have been better if he could have put on more accolades. I assume that he must have stuck around on the one team for a long time. For some reason, I feel like I know who this person is, but I might be wrong. I think that for me, I know that for my voting purposes, I would say that this person probably could be in the Hall of Fame. I'm just trying to decide if like how do other people also view it, which I feel like is maybe not necessarily fair, but I like to think about it like from the perspective of would the accolades be enough to warrant somebody to not make it in, regardless of the stats? And I feel like the Hall of Fame as we know it right now, the way that they vote in people, yeah, I actually do think there are some people that absolutely would do that. Um, but if we're going purely on stats, um, I think he could definitely be Hall of Fame worthy. But if
Fair
we're
enough.
adding on like the accolades as being as important as they should be, I think we're probably right on the edge of probably on the edge of Hall of Fame. Again, probably not a first ballot in my book, but I could see I could see that being because like that's pretty good performance. Like that's really well done. It's just obviously that whatever team you played on just couldn't get over the humps.
Fair enough. This next quarterback played for 16 years.
Okay.
He has played in 211 games over that time. He has a record of 99, 111, and 1. He has completed 4,952 passes to 7,825 thrown for a completion percentage of 63.3%. He has thrown for 57,285 yards with 360 touchdowns to 180 interceptions. He has won one Super Bowl, been to two Pro Bowls, and won the Comeback Player of the Year award.
I feel like I'm getting too many of the same kinds of players that they're so close to each other that like where's the cutoff at? Because that's a really good touchdown to interception ratio,
That is true.
but didn't play as long. Still had a lot of yards. Completion percentage was decent. Lost more than they won though. That could also be due to the team or teams played on. So it might
Very
not be
true.
necessarily indicative of just them themselves. Ugh. I feel like this is one that I might leave off the Hall of Fame. I might like be like right on the edge, but just for some reason something feels. I don't know if it's the combination of the wins and the just the years played and everything. It just feels. Um, I don't know. Just again, I guess gut feeling, just something. I don't know. I only one Super Bowl. The accolades aren't exactly stacking up either for this one. It's like I gave one a pass already, but I don't want to
I
do
feel
that
you.
too
I feel
often.
you. I'm
I,
not. I'm
I, I
not
don't know.
mad.
I don't know.
No, you're fine. This next quarterback had a career spanning 15 years. In that
Mm-hmm.
time, he started 234 games. He had a
Mm-hmm.
final record of 124, 109, and 1. He completed 5,551 passes to 8,464 thrown for a completion percentage of 65.6. He threw for 62,792 yards with 381 touchdowns to 183 interceptions. He won the MVP, the Offensive Player of the Year, was a four-time Pro Bowler, a one-time All-Pro, and a one-time Rookie of the Year, but no rings.
Man, I like a lot of those stats. I don't like that many interceptions. Um, there's a lot of other good accolades on there. Good yardage, good percentage. Yeah, I think he squeaks in. Again, we're not talking first ballot numbers, but I think that warrants a Hall of Fame performance for the sound of it.
Okay, fair enough. This next quarterback has played 17 years and been in 191 games over that time frame. He has a record of 104 and 83. He has completed 4,075 passes to 6,611 attempted for his 61.6 percentage completion rate. He has thrown for 44,652 yards with 252 touchdowns and 156 interceptions. He has been a one-time Super Bowl winner and one-time comeback player of the year.
I mean, based on stats alone, I don't think that's a good enough performance.
I wasn't sure you would, but I threw him in here for the funsies of it. When you find out who it is, you'll laugh.
I'm sure it just doesn't. Yeah.
This is the last one now. The last quarterback on our list today has been played for 18 years. Played in 249 games, had a total record of 161, 81 and 1. Completed 5,440 passes to 8,443 attempted for a 64.4% completion percentage. He's passed for 64,088 yards for 418 touchdowns, 211 interceptions, was a 6-time Pro Bowler, 2-time Super Bowl champion, and 1-time Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, no, that's definitely Hall of Fame. I don't like that many interceptions, but when you're getting that many touchdowns, it's kind of hard to argue that you're probably going to get a little bit more in the interceptions category at that point.
All right.
So
the people that you said yes to, the first quarterback on our list was Eli Manning.
That's what I figured, actually.
The second quarterback on our list that you said yes to, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And you also said probably not first ballot, but there are people that would disagree with you on that.
Honestly,
looking at the pure stats and accolades.
Well, I was gonna say the funny thing is there people have been talking about that recently. Actually, with the watching the Jets play recently, even though he had a good game this last one, it's funny how many people have said, if you start looking back at his career, actually, it's like, actually, it makes sense they didn't make those many Super Bowls because, he's pretty good, and he's even great at definitely moments, and he's had MVP years for sure, but like, he's not the best thing since sliced fucking bread.
By the way, do you want to know who the veteran I gave you was that you compared all these people to? Can you guess?
Sure. I thought I had a couple guesses, but I'm not gonna.
The Sheriff, Peyton Manning.
Oh, Peyton Manning. Okay.
I was like, I'll give you a Hall of Famer that I know went in recently.
Yeah. That's fair.
The third quarterback on our list, who you said no to, Matthew Stafford.
I mean, he's just. To be fair, he was on a bad team, which is what I was concerned about. But at the same time,
he's been on a couple of bad teams, or maybe not bad. He's been on several bad teams in Detroit, and then several injury-prone teams in LA.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like he's got pretty good numbers overall, but it just feels like there are. Yeah, it just feels like he's getting held back just by a little bit too much.
The next person, the fourth one the 15-year vet that you said yes to, Matt Ryan. The next one, number 5, that you said no to, the 17-year veteran, Joe Flacco.
I figured that one might be Joe Flacco.
And the last one that you said yes to, you said you didn't like that many interceptions, but when you throw that many touchdowns, Big Ben Roethlisberger.
Big Ben, yeah, that sounds about right, yeah. He actually, out of all of them, he's the one that I think is most likely should be a first rounder, to be honest with you.
Oh, I agree, absolutely. Looking at his stats, I went, Jesus, I didn't know they were this good.
No, he was really fucking good. Yeah.
He was amazingly good, yes. I was really happy for him. If you liked that, we could do that again for other positions, too.
I'm fine if you want to.
Yeah,
I just have to. I think just every time I'll have to rethink about the. I think
what I'll do is I'll give you a current Hall of Famer that
I was gonna say a current
recently.
Hall of Famer. Give me a current Hall of Famer, and then also, I think it was easier to do it after I graded the first one and the second one, because after hearing the numbers back to back, I was able to kind of contextualize how close everything was gonna be. If you see what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So that also helps. So even though I put Eli in on reflection, I could have seen myself if you would have put him in last in the order. I might not have actually put him in, kind of thing. If you see what I'm saying. So
Hmm.
I think having the comparison early on before I actually make a decision on the first one might be good too.
So do you want to do like two of them and then go back and grade the first one again?
Yeah, kind
All
of
right,
have
so
hear
we'll read
both
out.
of them, and then I
So
can.
yeah, we can refine this process. So we'll read out the
Yeah.
first two. I'll read out a Hall of Famer, the first two, and then you can go back. Then you can rank them and decide where you're going to put them in, and we can go
Yeah,
from
and
there.
then I can exactly. I think from
I'll
there, then
only
I
ever
kind
do
of
like
know.
5 or 6. I'm not doing more than that. And it's
No,
always going to
God,
be
that would take too
guys that
long,
are
anyways.
either just recently retired or are probably
Looking like
coming
they
up
might
on
be.
the end of their career.
I was gonna say probably are going too soon because
Yes.
you had Rogers and Stafford in there.
Rodgers and Stafford and Flacco were all in
I
there.
feel bad for Stafford because I think he's talented enough where he should get in, but I think based on stats alone, it's just not enough. You know?
Yeah, I feel the same for Stafford. Like, I wish he'd get it. If he could win, before he retires, if he could win another Super Bowl, maybe that's
Yeah.
enough to get him over the hump. But,
Exactly.
like, he was just on so many really, really bad Lions teams.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what do you say to all of that?
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that being done, hockey has started. Wilder 2-2. I'm not doing any hockey rankings or anything like that yet. We're gonna wait until at least most teams
A
have
little
played
early.
a bare minimum of 10 games.
Yep.
Once we have that, I'll start the hockey power rankings as well. But nothing. The only thing that I'm egregiously angry about right now is happened the other night. The Wild were playing the Kraken, and Adam Larson elbowed Joel Eriksson Ek in the nose and broke his nose, and there was no penalty called. Overall, I like the Kraken. Screw you, Adam Larson. It's my official
Also, on a
stance
complete side note, I just remembered this. I don't think we talked about this. And I don't even know if you even. I think somebody else told me about this.
Go ahead.
But the ownership of the Twins are looking to sell.
Yes, I did see that. And somebody said it. I want to bring this up because somebody said it, and I can't help but agree with it. I can't help but agree with it. Is that the Pohlads, especially after Carl died, his kids, never looked at it as they're not passionate baseball fans, right? They viewed the Twins as
It's more of a business.
yeah, exactly. They viewed the Twins as like a business proposition. They didn't want to spend the money to be championship material. And people were worried, and I was at first too, if I'm going to be totally honest with you. I was a little bit pissy. I was thinking, are they going to move the team, sell it, and move it to someone? Then I found out they can't move the team until 2040.
Mm-hmm.
Because they signed a lease when we built Target Field that said they had to play there for
Yep.
30 years. So they cannot actually move the Twins until 2040. So whoever buys it has to know they can't move the team.
Yep, exactly.
So they're staying there for quite a while yet. So I'm not too worried about that. That all being said, I do hope they find ownership that cares about baseball and wants to win. And I'm tired of hearing, it's the one thing that everybody's pointed out, small market versus big market. There are no small market teams anymore, dude. That's a misnomer. It does not exist. All of these teams
On
are
top of
worth
that, to argue that
billions of dollars now.
I was gonna say to argue that the Twin Cities is small. Like it's like
I mean, if you compare
dude,
it
it's a
to,
large fucking city, dog.
if you compare it to like New York or Chicago,
It's still pretty large. I mean, compared to Chicago, it's still pretty large actually.
yeah,
Like
they've
it's
gotten
not
a lot bigger, and that's the thing.
they're
So
not that small anymore.
no, they're not. So yes, the Pohlads are exploring selling the Twins, which you know what? More power to them. I hope it happens. I hope it
Hmm.
works. I like the Twins, but I haven't been in love with the Twins for quite some period of time.
Yeah. That's the best way to put them. Like, I'm a fan still, but you haven't been giving me a reason to watch.
Exactly. And I hope that whatever new ownership does when they come in, they can give us a reason to watch, make some moves, shake some stuff up, open the wallet. So you don't have a salary cap in baseball.
No, no.
So go out there, buy some players, let's do something.
Hmm.
So, but
Agreed.
yes, 100% that is something we should have talked about. And now that we have, I am happy that we did. Um, because the Polads are indeed looking to sell. We'll see if they get what they want out of it. Outside of
Correct.
that, I can't think of anything else major at the moment. Um, so let's get into reviewing last week's games. You can go ahead and start, please, this week because I assume you watched the Thursday night game, or at least some of it.
Um, I was up watching some of it.
I watched none of it because my wife and I were watching the Wild season opener.
Yeah, no, I was watching it. I sent you some texts about it. I didn't watch every single thing, but I stayed up watch. I paid attention to enough of it. Um, all right. So Thursday night we had San Francisco 49ers at the Seattle Seahawks.
We did
Score was
indeed.
36-24.
And you picked the Niners, I picked the Seahawks, so you win the opening volley here.
Let's look at some stats. Brock Purdy, 18 of 28, 255 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Pretty good performance from Brock Purdy, back to what we kind of expect from him.
Mm-hmm.
Rushing, we had Isaac Garungrub. I can never say your name, dude. I'm sorry. 10 attempts for 99 yards. Kyle Juszczyk had 1 attempt for 60 yards and a touchdown. Let's go. Jordan Mason, 9 for 73. Brock Purdy, 4 for 19. Debo, 4 for 15. And Patrick Taylor, 5 for 16. Receiving, Brandon Ayuk, 2 for 37. Juan Jennings, 3 for 27. George Kittle, 5 for 58 and 2 touchdowns. Debo Samuel, 3 for 102 and a touchdown. All right. Let me see here. Any picks? Let me see. Renardro? I don't know if that's how you say that name. Renardro Green? 1 interception. Malik Mustafa? 1 interception. Nice. 2 interceptions on the night. Sam Okunoha. God
Don't
damn it.
even bother.
I cannot say these last names. Um, had 1 sack, and their only sack on the night. Matthew Wright was 3 for 3 for a long of 41, and 3 for 3 on extra points. Kickoff returns were done by Debo Samuel and Patrick Taylor. Each had 2 returns, one for a long of 29, the other for a long of 27. And Jacob Howling was their punt returner. He had 2 for a long of 11.
Okay, so if I'm right, it's Guerrendo
Fair.
and Okyue Inonu.
No idea.
I think I got close.
No idea. Not even gonna try. All right, let's look at the Seattle Seahawks.
And it is Renardo Green.
Bernardo. Okay.
Renardo, yes.
Seattle. Let's look at them. Geno Smith, 30 of 52 for 312 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Rushing, Zach Charbonnet, 5 for 20. Kenneth Walker III, 14 for 32 and a touchdown. Wow. That did not go as planned. Receiving, we have Noah Fant, 6 for 63. Tyler Lockett, 4 for 65 and a touchdown. DK Metcalf, 3 for 48. Jackson Smith Njigba, 5 for 53. Kenneth Walker the third, 8 for 37. Lavishka Chenault did fumble the ball and lose it, which is unfortunate.
It is.
Jackson Smith Njigba did fumble the ball but did not lose it. No picks, as we already discussed. Any sacks? No sacks on the night. Oof. Defense couldn't do anything against their offensive line, apparently. Jason Myers was 1 for 1 on field goals for a long of 20, and 3 for 3 on extra points. Kickoff returns, we have Lavishka Chenault had 4 returns, 1 of them for a touchdown, which was a long of 97. And D. Williams had 3 returns and a long for 37. So, Seattle didn't necessarily play poorly, they just didn't play well. And the 49ers just did what they do, which is they play really good football. And if you don't play as well as they do, they're probably going to win. They play a lot of what I would like to say is mistake-free football. You can force them to make mistakes at times, but it's pretty hard to do. If your offense can't keep up with their offense, you're just going to lose. That's basically what happened.
More or less, yes. You are 100% correct. And that's pretty much what happened in the Seattle game.
Oh, yeah.
All right. I want to talk about the Jaguars versus the Bears from jolly old London, England. Final score, Bears 35, Jaguars 16. Yuck. This was not a good game for Jacksonville. We seem to be saying that a lot, don't we?
We do.
But let's take a look at it, because honestly, people want to blame it on one person, but I don't think they're blaming it on the right person. There's a lot of people that want to blame this on Trevor Lawrence. But was it really his fault?
If you saw how many of his receivers dropped the fucking football, Jesus Christ.
Not just that. We're going to get to the group that I think needs to be slapped.
Oh, there's quite a few groups that need to be slapped in this.
Trevor Lawrence, 23 of 35 for 234 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. He was sacked 3 times for 20 yards. Mac Jones, by the way, 1 of 1 for 6. Sacked 1 time for 10 yards. This is the group that collectively needs to be slapped. Because as much as I gave one of them props last week, I've got no props for any of them this week. Rushing. Dearness Johnson, 6 for 28. Tank Bigsby, 7 for 24. Trevor Lawrence, I give you a pass because you're a quarterback, 4 for 17. Travis Etienne Jr., 3 for -1. Although I do believe he got hurt. Had to leave the game. Evan Ingram, probably the best receiver on the day for him. 10 targets, 10 catches, 102 yards. Gabe Davis, 8 targets, 5 catches, 45 yards. And it gets bad from there. Christian Kirk, 6 targets, 3 catches, 39 yards. Brian Thomas Jr., 6 targets, 3 catches, 27 yards. Dearness Johnson, 2 for 2 for 16. Yay! Brenton Strange, 2 targets for 1 catch for 11 yards. Etienne had 1 target and did not catch it. Now here's the part that hurts me the most. A little bit, anyway. Evan Ingram, 1 fumble, 1 lost. Tank Bigsby, fumbled, did not lose it. Esezi let me see here. Otomio recovered a fumble. Defense. Holy God, slap this entire group. They were bad. Ventrell Miller, 10 total tackles, 8 of them solo. Your sacks. You had 3 of them this game. Oto Omeowo and John Hines Allen each got half a sack combined for a total. Roy Robertson Harris got a sack, and Mason Smith got a sack. They had one interception from Andre Sisco. Kick returning. This is something they did good at. Tank Bigsby. 3 returns for 102 yards with a long of 41. Special teams they can do. The rest of it, not so much. Tim Jones also had a return for 23 yards. In punt returns, Parker Washington had 2 for a total of 27 with a long of 14. That's still not even that bad. Cam Little was 1 for 1 on field goals from 30 yards and 1 for 1 on extra points. So, let's be realistically honest here. Their special teams is pretty freaking good. Considering their punter also had 4 punts and all of them wound up inside the 20. That's pretty freaking good. And none of them were touchbacks. So they've got special teams figured out. They've got none of the rest of this shit figured out.
No.
Now let's talk about the Bears. Caleb Williams, 23 of 29.
On the reverse end.
23 of 29 for 226 yards, 4 touchdowns, a pick, 3 sacks for only 5 yards. You know what? That's not that damn bad for a rook.
No.
He's
coming along nicely.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. He didn't start great, but he is getting better week after week after week. And you know what? If he keeps improving, I think the Bears have finally solved their 70+ year problem at quarterback.
Yeah, they might still have a problem like coach, but we'll get there.
Oh, they might. But not as big as some other teams have.
I don't know. I think it's still pretty bad.
Probably, but they are 4-2.
Yeah, I don't know if I put that necessarily on him, though, as we've seen him perform with, other quarterbacks.
DeAndre Swift, 17 carries, 91 yards, and a touchdown. Hey, another Swift sighting. Caleb Williams also ran 4 times for 56 yards. Roshan Johnson, 5 for 8. And Tyson Bagent did come into the game at the end, but he only ran 3 times for -3 yards. Receiving, Cole Kmet, 5 targets, 5 catches, 70 yards, 2 touchdowns. Beautiful. Keenan Allen, 5 targets, 5 catches, 41 yards, 2 touchdowns. Rome Odunze, 2 targets, 2 catches, 40 yards. Swift, 4 targets, 4 catches, 28 yards. Roshan Johnson, 3 targets, 2 catches, 25 yards. DJ Moore, 5 targets, 4 catches, 20 yards. Mercedes Lewis, 1 for 1 for 2 yards. Against the team that originally drafted him all those years ago. Unfortunately, DeAndre Swift did fumble, but he did not lose it. Both Tevin Jenkins and Elijah Hicks recovered fumbles. Jalen Jones led the way in tackles with 10 total and 9 solo. In terms of sacks, DeMarcus Walker got 1. Montez Sweat and Byron Cowart combined for 1. Chris Williams got 1. And Amin Ogbongbemiga got a sack. I don't know. Wow. Josh Blackwell got an interception. They didn't have any kick returns or punt returns. Cairo Santos missed a field goal, but went 5 for 5 on extra points. Yeah. So Chicago played a very complete game this week against what is admittedly a very minor opponent.
They are now, anyways.
So, still more to be looked at there, I think, but I will say Caleb is getting better weekly. As long as he doesn't backslide, I think the Bears are in a good spot.
I agree.
Alrighty. Who you doing next?
Well, I think next we need to move on to a new segment. Another new segment.
Oh Lord.
And we're gonna call it
We're
bringing back Judge Matt. Judge Matt, we need you to preside over a case. Are you ready for the case, Judge Matt?
I really need a wig for this.
You need a
And a
wig and a gavel.
Court in session. What am I presiding over today? What's on the docket?
You are presiding over the case of the Jaguars versus Doug Peterson's coaching staff. Are you ready to hear the case?
I am. Bring forth the defendants.
Doug Peterson has not been the best coach for the Jaguars. He is 19 wins to 21 losses, making him, in fact, dead fucking average. Which is not what they signed up for. Obviously, they brought him in to be the mentor for Trevor Lawrence. He was going to be that next guy who has only presented an average season after an average season after another average season. Now to a bad season. It's not gotten better, it's only gotten worse. They lost 9 games in a row with their starting quarterback. We do need to preface that. Because there was one game that they did win in between that losing streak that wasn't with their starting quarterback. But that's still not good. That's still very bad. We also know that they have the same offensive coordinator since Doug Peterson has been there. So the offensive coordinator hasn't changed. The only thing that has changed, however, is this year they do have a new defensive coordinator, which one can argue is somehow worse than their last one. Just saying you can make that argument. I'm not saying that's what's happening. I'm just saying you could make that argument reasonably. Next, we look at points scored. This year they're at 113. That is 20th on the list of teams. They rank very low at scoring points, meaning that their offense is not being very offensive. However, if we look at points allowed, they're at 178 points allowed. And that puts them dead fucking last. They have allowed the most points in the league in comparison to everyone else. Their defense literally cannot get any worse. So I argue that he should no longer be head coach of the Jaguars. And in fact, both offensive and defensive coordinator also need to clearly go. His whole staff just needs to be cut from the head fucking down. And his defense to this has been, we need a culture change. You're right. And it starts with your fucking head, my guy. I rest my case.
The judge would like to point out that he did win a Super Bowl with Philadelphia.
Granted, a very talented team.
And he did lead the Jags to a playoff berth.
And everything's gone downhill since then.
And win.
And everything's gone downhill since then.
This is very true. One would also state that the new defensive coordinator may not be horrible, but just that the team isn't responding to the defense he wants to run.
Also very possible.
However, given all the circumstances, the judge finds the defendants guilty. They should be remanded to not having jobs. Court adjourned.
Yeah, I think, honestly, I just wanted to bring it up because it was fun timing for it. Honestly, yeah. I legitimately believe that his seat has to be so mega hot at this point. The fact that he still has a job right now is a little shocking.
Well, I think that's because they haven't come back from London yet.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like it's coming. It's coming soon. Like, he has to basically start winning games, basically starting last week. And pray to God that he somehow retains that all the way through. Because Trevor Lawrence has clearly regressed. He is not playing as well as he has been. Now we know that some of that might be...
I think the team around him has gotten so bad that it looks like he's regressed.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying necessarily that he himself has regressed. It just appears stat-wise, and if you watch the way they play, he appears to have regressed. Regardless if that's true or not, that's not necessarily the point. The point is he's not looking good, and that's not necessarily his fault, but we do have to address that some of it might be his fault. We just don't know. But we can say for certain that it's not working.
Yes.
And it's not working so poorly that I think it's getting very close to the time to pull the plug and just go, all right, we're just going to give somebody else, some random dude off the street to try now. Like, it's almost that time.
Yep.
All right, with that out of the way, let's talk. My God, dude, you are just being super loud today, aren't you?
He's being super
There's
needy
so many
today
words
is
to
what
say.
he's doing.
You have so many words today, dude. So many words. Let's talk about a fun game, and one that I thought would be pretty close, and it ended up being, as kind of the game that I expected it to be. Let's talk about Washington at Ravens.
I can't say that this was a
Washington.
bad game. This was a fun game to watch.
No, this is a fun game. Washington loses 23-30. I don't know who picked who. I think we both picked
We
Ravens. I don't
both
remember.
picked the Ravens, so we both win this one.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and take a look at stats. Jane Daniels, 24 of 35, 269 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Again, another good, solid performance from him. Rushing. Jane Daniels, 6 for 22, Austin Eckler, 9 for 21, and Jeremy McNichols, 2 for 9. So they just couldn't get much going on the ground game. So that's pretty much what must have kept Washington from being able to keep up, is that the Ravens defense must have really kept them down, which is good. Washington's receiving. Noah Brown, 4 for 58. Austin Eckler, 4 for 47. Zach Ertz, 4 for 68. Terry McLaurin, 6 for 53 and 2 touchdowns. Pretty good overall. Mike Sanrissel had 1 interception for their defense, which is good. Let me see here. Dante Fowler Jr. had 2 sacks. Nice. And the only sacks on the night. Very, very well done. Austin Siebert was 3 for 4 on field goals for a long of 55 and 2 for 2 on extra points. Kickoff return was done by Austin Eckler. He had 1 for 32. And punting was done by Almeida Zacchezius. I think it's Zacchezius. For 1 punt return for 10 yards. Overall, pretty good performance, actually. Not perfect, but given what they were going up against, I think they did a very, very good job. Now let's go over and look at the Ravens' stats. Lamar Jackson, 20 of 26 for 323 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. Rushing, we had Derrick Henry, 24 for 132 and 2 touchdowns. Yeah, I mean, if you can't stop Derrick Henry, I guess you're just gonna lose. I guess that's what we've learned. If you can't stop Derrick Henry, you're gonna lose.
Yes.
And then Lamar Jackson was even 11 for 40 himself. Now for receiving, we have Nelson Aguilar, 1 for 25. Mark Andrews, 3 for 66 and a touchdown. My God, he's not dead. Rashad Bateman, 4 for 71. Zay Flowers, 9 for 132. And Isaiah Likely, 2 for 27. Also somehow not dead. Tyler Lindenbaum had 1 fumble, but did not lose it. No interceptions for Baltimore, as we addressed earlier. Travis Jones had 1 sack. Nanambi Madubuke. My God, I know his name. Matabuke. Yeah, Matabuke. There we go. Had half a sack, with Michael Pierce also having half a sack, with a total of 3 sacks on the night. Oh, Yannick Ngakwe also had a sack. I almost forgot about him. My bad. I was going to say, that didn't equal 3. That only equaled 2. Where's the other one? Found it. Justin Tucker, 3 for 3 on field goals for a long of 45 and 3 for 3 on extra points. Thank goodness he was missing too many, to be honest with you. Like, I realize only 1 here and there. It's not a lot, but it's too many for a kicker that's supposed to be, as good as he's supposed to be.
As good as he is, yes.
Kickoff returns, we had Dante Hardy with 2 kickoff returns for a long of 26. Justice Hill also had 2 for a long of 34. And punting was done by Deontay Hardy. He had 1 for 4.
Yep.
So overall, Baltimore honestly, it was just a very close game. Baltimore just played a little bit better on both offense and defense. And it came down to the fact that Baltimore's defense was able to stop Washington's rushing, but Washington's defense could not stop the Ravens' rushing.
Exactly. If the Commanders had just a little bit better defense they would have probably won this game. It was really
They
tight.
would have made it at least much more.
Yeah, as close as the score makes it sound,
tense.
it wasn't that close.
Yeah, it was fun to watch, but it wasn't super close until those touchdowns came in. But it was still fun to watch and interesting because they made it an interesting, fun game for Baltimore. Because in fact, Washington hasn't been that competitive in a while. To see that they are even competing against the Ravens at all is very promising.
It is. And Commanders fans, Washington fans, you have to be very, very happy to see the steps forward your team has taken. The fact that you're now competing against one of the best teams in the East, good for you guys.
Wildflower.
I like football.
Oh my god, I like football.
To go from that to a game, one of two, that was close at precisely no points. I'm going to talk about a team that I've been waiting to roast all week.
Oh boy.
We're going to talk about the Lions and the Cowboys.
Fair enough.
We both picked the Lions. We were both correct. Final score, Lions 47. Cowboys can't even find the end zone with 9 points. All 3 of them, spoiler, were field goals. So we're going to talk about the Lions first because, well, actually, you know what? I'm going to talk about the Cowboys first because it's going to take me less time. Because they have significantly less stats to talk about.
Fair.
Dak Prescott, 17 of 33, 178 yards, 2 interceptions, 4 sacks, 26 yards. They actually put Cooper Rush in the game. It got so out of hand. And he went 8 of 11 for 46 yards and then threw an interception. So, kind of on brand. Rushing, Rico Dowdle, 5 for 25, Ezekiel Elliott, 8 for 17, and nobody else has anything that we need to talk about. Receiving, CeeDee Lamb, 14 targets, 7 catches, 89 yards. Tolbert, 5 targets, 4 catches, 43 yards. Dowdle, 6 for 5, 30 yards. Kevontae Turpin, 7 targets, 4 catches, 24 yards. I don't think anybody else deserves a mention here. Turpin and Flournoy both lost fumbles. Their top tackler was Damon Clark, who had 9 total tackles, 4 of them solo, and half a sack. He combined with Chauncey Golston for the sack, and Donovan Wilson had a sack, and KJ Henry had a sack. They had no interceptions. Turpin had 4 returns for 194 yards and a long of 79. Still couldn't get it in the end zone. Brandon Aubrey went 3 for 3 on field goals with a long of 50. If there's one thing that Dallas can count on, it's Brandon Aubrey. Now, Detroit. This might take a little longer. Jared Goff was 18 of 25 for 315 yards and 3 touchdowns, was sacked twice for 17 yards. Hendon Hooker, 1 for 2 for 19 yards, sacked once for 9 yards. David Montgomery, 12 carries, 80 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jahmyr Gibbs, 12 carries, 63 yards. Craig Reynolds, 6 carries, 21 yards. Jamison Williams, 1 carry, 11 yards. You begin to get the picture. Receiving, Jamison Williams, 4 targets, 3 receptions, 76 yards and a touchdown. Khalif Raymond, 6 targets, 4 catches, 73 yards. Tim Patrick, 3 targets, 3 catches, 68 yards. Sam Laporta, 1 for 1 for 52 and a touchdown. We'll talk about that in a minute, because that was funny. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 4 for 4 for 37 yards and a touchdown. And you know what? It just kind of goes down the list. Craig Reynolds fumbled but recovered, and both Malcolm Rodriguez and Terrion Arnold recovered fumbles. Defensively, Amric Robertson had 7 total tackles. 5 of them were for solos. Alim McNeil had 2 sacks. Trevor Nowaski had a sack. And Hutchinson, before he had to leave the field and go to surgery, had a sack. Brian Branch got 2 interceptions, and Kirby Joseph got 1. Khalil Dorsey had one kick return for 34 yards. Khalif Raymond did return a punt, but it's not worth talking about. Jake Bates was 4 of 4 on field goals with a long of 48 and 5 of 5 on extra points. Okay, look, this score tells you that the Cowboys got embarrassed, but it doesn't tell you how badly they got fucking embarrassed. Because they got bent over a knee and spanked. Literally, Detroit wasn't out there to win. Detroit was out there to have fun, and have fun they did. They had trick plays and stupid crap, and they had a triple lateral flea flicker that went 52 yards to Laporta. They had offensive linemen lining up at wide receiver. They had an offensive lineman take one in for a touchdown. That got called back for illegal formation, unfortunately. But they weren't out there. They were toying the entire time with Dallas. Dallas had no chance to beat them. Detroit knew it from the get-go and put the pedal all the way down and just toyed with Detroit. I feel like they could have scored a lot more points. They could have probably dropped a 70 burger on these guys without blinking if they weren't trying so much razzle-dazzle and just trying to be stupid with it. You know what I mean? This was a detestable game for Dallas that came on Jerry Jones's birthday. Honestly, I feel like that's the present Jerry Jones deserves, but...
Well,
and then I will also say...
My God.
Huh?
Say, my God, that's such a dickish thing to say.
Oh, no. The dickish thing was what Jerry Jones said when he threatened the jobs of 2 radio hosts.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That was pretty dickish, too.
Yeah, that was very dickish. Boo to you, Jerry. Oh, what are you going to do? Come fire me? Oh, wait, I don't work for people.
I don't work for people.
I don't.
I mean, technically you do.
Not really. Not really. All right, your turn. Follow that.
Well, then, I don't think I can. However, we are going to talk about the Buccaneers and the Saints.
That's the other game that was out of hand and not close ever.
Yep.
Oh, by the way, we both picked
Tampa
the
Bay
Lions
50.
in that game.
Well, of course we did. Tampa Bay 51 to New Orleans 27.
We both picked the Saints.
Listen, this was an interesting game. Frankly, quarter 1 was 17-0 Tampa. Quarter 2, Tampa had 7 points on top of the 17, and then New Orleans scored 27 points.
Mm-hmm.
Then in quarter 3, Tampa Bay had 7 more scored points. And then they added on 20 more points in quarter 4. This was a fucking weird game. With spurts of offense and defense. It was weird. Anyways, let's look at the stats. Baker Mayfield, 24 of 36 for 325 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 3 picks. Picks is a little much there, my guy. I know you're a gunslinger, but you need to calm your tits. You're not making your defense's job any easier.
No. That's the part that made me laugh. I was like, holy crap, how do you throw 3 interceptions and still win a football game?
Yeah.
Because you also threw 4 touchdowns. Okay, then.
Yes, exactly. Tampa Bay rushing, Bucky Irving, 14 for 81 and a touchdown. Baker, 3 for 29. Sterling Shepard, 4 for 31. And Sean Tucker, 14 for 136 and another touchdown. Receiving, we had Mike Evans, 2 for 34. Chris Godwin, 11 for 125 and 2 touchdowns. Bucky Irving, 2 for 24. Ryan Miller, 1 for 39. Cade Otton, 2 for 15 and a touchdown. And Sean Tucker, 3 for 56 and a touchdown.
Look,
my God, he had a touchdown rushing and a touchdown on catching.
Either Godwin or Evans is going to go off every game.
Pretty much. Seems like it. Tristan Wirfs had a fumble but did not lose it. Zion McCollum had an interception, and Tyke Smith? Is it Tyke Smith or Tyke Smith?
Tyke Smith.
Tyke Smith had 1 interception as well, so for a total of 2 interceptions on the night.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Braswell had half a sack. KG Britt had half a sack. Levante David had a sack. William Golston had a sack. Kalijah Cansey had a sack. Vita Vea had a sack for a total of 5 sacks on the night. My goodness. They were all over that dude. I'm feeling bad for that guy. Kicking, we had Chase McLaughlin was 1 for 1 on field goals for a long of 26 and 6 for 6 on the extra points. As for kickoff returns, Bucky Irving had 2 kickoff returns for a long of 22. Sean Tucker had 2 kickoff returns for a long of 30, and DJ Williams had 2 kickoff returns for a long of 30. Punting was Jalen McMillan. He had 3 punt returns for a long of 11. All right, now let's go talk about the Saints. Pretty good overall stats outside of the interceptions, but let's go look at the Saints. Spencer Rattler, 22 of 40, 243 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. Honestly, not that bad considering the fact he's a rookie and you didn't know what you were getting. He's performing like as if he was already a okay starter. Like I wouldn't want to start him all the time, but
No,
if that's
and
the floor I'm
again,
getting at now, like
if
damn,
that's his
this
floor
guy
as a
might have
rookie, there's something there.
there's something here potentially, yeah. Give him a little bit more protection so he doesn't get fucking hit so much, though. All right, New Orleans rushing. Alvin Kamara, 13 for 40 and a touchdown. Spencer Rattler himself, 4 for 27. Nothing else to really talk about. Receiving, Jawan Johnson, 3 for 48. Bub Means, 5 for 45 and a 1 touchdown.
Great name.
Bub Means. Foster Moreau, 2 for 54. And Cedric Wilson Jr., 2 for 28. Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave, and Spencer Rattler all had a fumble. Only Chris Olave lost his, though. Jonathan Abram, Paulson Adebo, Cameron Jordan all had picks. Loki, knock it off. My gosh. Willie Gay Jr. had a sack. And he was the only one that had a sack on the night. So overall, Tampa Bay was able to keep Baker mostly untouched. With that being said, I would very much like him to throw less picks then if he's not going to be under that much pressure. That'd be great. Kicking, Blake Groupie was 2 for 2 on field goals for a long of 42 and 3 for 3 on extra points. Kickoff return was Shaheed, 1 for a long of 25. He also did punting duties, 2 for a long of 54 for a touchdown. Shaheed, nice.
Mm-hmm.
So overall, this was Tampa Bay beating up the Saints. The Saints did get some scoring done at the end of the first half. Unfortunately, second half they got completely shut out. It was very obvious that Tampa Bay very much figured out what they were doing in that second half, that second quarter, that whole game, and just went, yeah, we're not letting them do that again. And that pretty much is exactly what happened. The defense cranked up on them and never let go after that.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty much the way that went.
Hey. God dang, Bird.
All right. I'm going to talk about a game where the winners should be embarrassed. Because there's no way they should have won by that small a margin. We're going to talk about Cleveland at Philadelphia.
You. Right away when you said that, I was like, yep,
Yep.
if you weren't going to take them, I was taking them next.
Yep. I was there. Look, Philly, you should have blown these guys completely out of the water. We did both pick Philly. They won 20-16. But scraping by with a 4-point win over the moribund Browns, you should be embarrassed. Let's talk stats. Deshaun Watson, 16 of 23, 168 yards. No touchdowns, no interceptions. Sacked 5 times for 24 yards. By the way, I heard an interesting take about why the Browns continue to start Deshaun Watson.
Mm-hmm.
The Browns know, or Kevin Stefanski knows, that For everything he's done, Watson will never be held accountable in court for it. So
They're not making it his personal hell.
So the only way that he'll ever be held accountable is to force him to play quarterback every week in front of people.
No. Funny, but no.
It is funny. I also say no, but it is funny. Pierre Strong Jr., 8 carries, 43 yards. Donta Foreman, 10 carries, 31 yards. Watson, 4 carries, 17 yards. Yeah, you guys really, really need Chubb back, and I don't think it's going to help. Amari Cooper, 6 targets, 4 catches, 42 yards. Bye!
Bye, Amari.
Let's look at what's going to happen without him. Jerry Jeudy, 3 targets, 1 catch, 35 yards. Pierre Strong Jr., 3 targets, 2 catches, 35 yards. David Njoku, 7 targets, 5 catches, 31 yards. Donta Foreman, 2 targets, 2 catches, 16 yards. Jalen Darden, 1 target, 1 catch, 6 yards. Elijah Moore, 1 target, 1 catch, 3 yards. You don't have anything else. You're about to be even more embarrassing than you already are, Cleveland. I didn't think it was possible.
Oh, yeah, it's still very possible.
In terms of defense, Rodney MacLeod Jr. led you with 8 total tackles. All of them were solo. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, he wound up with a sack. Myles Garrett did play. He got 4 total tackles, but did not record a sack. That was the only sack that was recorded, by the way. There was a defensive touchdown scored by Rodney MacLeod Jr., which is the only touchdown you guys scored all day. Then you had Darden return 2 punts for 26 yards. You had Dustin Hopkins 3 of 4 for a long of 49 and 1 for 1 on extra points. Yeah, and that's what you had. Philly. Jalen Hurts, 16 of 25, 264 and 2 touchdowns, sacked 1 time for 8 yards. Saquon, 18 carries, 47 yards. That's not very good. Jalen Hurts, 14 carries, 33 yards. That's worse. Kenneth Gainwell, 3 for 23. That's better. And Jahan Dotson, 1 for 13. Now, receptions. A.J. Brown, 9 targets, 6 receptions, 116 yards and a touchdown. Grant Calcaterra, 4 targets, 4 catches, 67 yards. Devonta Smith, 4 targets, 3 catches, 64 yards and a touchdown. Jahan Dotson, 3 targets, 1 catch, 10 yards. There's a reason that the Commanders were willing to give him up in division, guys. Dallas Goedert, 1 target, no catches. Gainwell, 1 target, no catches. Cam Jurgens fumbled. Jalen Hurts recovered it. In terms of defense, Nakobe Dean led the way with 12 tackles, 7 of them solo. Cooper DeJean had a sack, half a sack, combined with Bryce Huff for the whole sack. Josh Sweat had a sack. Nolan Smith Jr. had a sack. Carter had a sack. And Milton Williams and Thomas Booker combined for a sack. They did not have any interceptions. Isaiah Rodgers had 3 kick returns for a total of 75 yards with a long of 29. Cooper DeJean had 4 punt returns for 51 yards with a long of 19. Jake Elliott was 2 of 3 on field goals with a long of 49 and 2 of 2 on extra points. Look, you guys had your full team. 100%. You didn't have injuries anymore. You've got both your receivers back, and you've got Saquon, and somehow you couldn't hang more than 20 points on Cleveland? That's not good, guys. You're 3-2, but you don't look like it. Oh, and Nick Sirianni, stop jaw-jacking with the fans.
Fucking dumb, dude.
Okay, your turn.
Alright. Let's see here. Which game do I want to take? Let's take... Yeah, I'll take the Texans at the Patriots. Texans win 41-21.
We both picked the Texans.
Shocking.
Here's what I'll say, though. Drake May looked pretty good.
He looked pretty decent. We'll get there.
Yep.
Let's talk passing. CJ Stroud for the Texans. 20 for 31, 192 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. Looking at their rushing game, we had Joe Mixon back, 13 for 102 yards and a touchdown. Damon Pierce had 8 for 76 and a touchdown. Receiving, Tank Dell, 7 for 57 and a touchdown. Stephon Diggs, 6 for 77 and a touchdown. Joe Mixon, 2 for 30 and a touchdown. Dalton Schultz, 4 for 27. My God, just giving everyone touchdowns. Touchdown to you. You get a touchdown. You get a touchdown. You get a touchdown.
Oprah was here and she was giving out touchdowns.
Pretty much. CJ Stroud fumbled the ball once but did not lose it. Kalen Bullock and Eric Murray each came away with interceptions on the night. Defensively, Will Anderson Jr., 3 sacks. Danielle Hunter, 1 sack. For a total of 4 on the night. My goodness. Tell you what, Will Anderson Jr. is working out real well for him.
Oh, yeah. That was a great trade.
Absolutely. Kicking, Kaimi Fairbairn, 2 for 3 for a long of 46 and 5 for 5 on extra points. Kickoff returns was done by Steven Sims. He had 1 for 25, and he also had 4 punt returns for a long of 19. Overall, Houston just kind of doing whatever the hell they wanted, and Patriots just went, okay, we're here though. Speaking of which, let's look at the Patriots. Drake May, 20 of 33, 243 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. Again, not bad at all for a rookie. If that's your floor, if that's around the floor you're getting, then honestly, things are looking good overall. Let's look at rushing. Antonio Gibson, 13 for 19. Oof, that's not a good stat. JaMychal Hasty, 3 for 12. Terrell Jennings, 5 for 13. And Drake May, 5 for 38. My God, your leading rusher was your quarterback. You guys need to figure that shit out. Receiving, Keyshawn Butte, 3 for 59 and a touchdown. Demario Douglas, 6 for 92 and a touchdown. Antonio Gibson, 3 for 24. Hunter Henry, 3 for 41 and a touchdown. So he's passing it around.
Yeah.
People are catching it. That's good. Austin Hooper fumbled and lost the ball. Drake May fumbled and lost the ball. Oof. Those you can't be having. You can't be having those fumbles.
Nope.
All right. Interceptions. Marcus Jones came away with the 1 pick on the night. Christian Ellis had half a sack. Marte Mapu had half a sack. Jacqueline Roy had 1 sack for a total of 2 sacks on the night. Joey Sly did not kick a field goal, but he was 3 for 3 on extra points. Kickoff returns were done by JaMychal Hasty. He had 6 for a long of 29, and he had 2 punt returns for a long of 16. Overall, definitely was very much a Texans game, with the Patriots just more or less showing that, hey, we can still play football. We're not going to be competitive. But look, our rookie's playing well, and that means while we're not going to be good this year, we might have a future still.
Yeah, there's a future there. It's not this year.
God, no. Might not even be next year at this rate.
Might be a couple of years from now. But you know what? As long as Drake May continues to look like this, you guys got something.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to talk about another game. I want to go to Lambeau Field, so we're going to talk about Arizona Green Bay.
Fair enough.
And again, this game ties into the last one as hold on to the football or you lose. If you watch this game, you know exactly what I mean.
This game made me very sad.
because you picked the Cardinals to win this. And the final score was 34-13 Packers. And I picked the Packers to win this.
To be fair, very early on, Marvin Harrison did go down.
Yes. But I don't think that would have made that big of a difference.
Well, maybe. We don't know.
We don't.
I can have hope.
You could, but I don't think it was because there was only one facet of their game that needed work.
Nah, there was just a lot of issues in general. A lot of small stuff.
So let's talk about it. Kyler Murray, 22 of 32, 214 yards and a touchdown. Did not throw an interception, was not sacked. Not bad, at least at first blush. Rushing, Trey Benson, 5 carries, 26 yards. Of course, most of that came on a 20-yard scamper. Amari DiMercado, 4 carries, 25 yards. James Conner, 7 for 24. Kyler Murray, 7 for 14. Overall, you guys rushed 23 times and only got 89 yards. For one back, 23 for 89 is not horrible. For 3 at a quarterback, you guys need to do better. Receiving, Trey McBride, 8 targets, 8 catches, 96 yards. Hey, step it up. Amari DiMercado, 7 targets, 5 catches, 39 yards. Greg Dortch, 5 targets, 3 catches, 36 yards. James Conner, 5 targets, 4 catches, 22 yards. Michael Wilson, 4 targets, 2 catches, 21 yards, and a touchdown. Both Weaver and Harrison Jr. had a target, or in Harrison Jr.'s case, 2, but they could not haul anything in. Here's the part of their game that killed them. James Conner fumbled and lost. Kyler Murray fumbled and lost. Greg Dortch fumbled and lost. If you fumble and lose all 3 of them, you're probably not going to win the game. That's bare minimum a 21-point swing right there. If you look bare minimum, even if they were all field goals, that's 9 extra points. That puts you at, 22-34? That's within striking range. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
At maximum, if you assume all of them would be touchdowns, that's 21 points. That means you would also have 34 points. That's a tie game right there. But you also got to remember that at that point, they're also taking points off a Green Bay's board. I'd like to know how many of those actually went for touchdowns. But if you can say maximum, you take 21 points off and put 21 points on, you win. It's 34-13 the other direction. So, all right. Defensively, Chris Barnes led the way in tackles with 10 of them. 8 of them were solo. And you had precisely 0 sacks. Sean Murphy-Bunting did get an interception, though. In terms of kick returns, DJ Dallas had 3 of them for 79 yards with a long of 29. Amari DiMercado had 2 of them for 48 yards with a long of 26, and Greg Dortch had 1 for 29 yards. Chad Ryland went 2 for 2 on field goals with a long of 40 and 1 for 1 on extra points. Now, how did the Pack do? Well, Jordan Love, 22 of 32, 258 yards, 4 touchdowns, and an interception. That's did not get sacked, obviously. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. That makes me sad. I hate the Packers having another good quarterback. Can they ever just suck?
No.
Josh Jacobs, 18 carries, 62 yards. Emmanuel Wilson, 7 carries, 54 yards. Bo Melton, 2 carries, 27 yards. Chris Brooks, 4 carries, 21 yards. Jordan Love, 5 carries, 13 yards. In terms of reception, Christian Watson, 4 targets, 3 catches, 68 yards, and a touchdown. Romeo Doubs, 4 targets, 3 catches, 49 yards, 2 touchdowns. Ben Sims, 2 targets, 2 catches, 38 yards. Jaden Reed, 6 targets, 6 catches, 28 yards, and a touchdown. Josh Jacobs, 3 targets, 3 catches, 28 yards. Emmanuel Wilson, 2 targets, 1 catch, 19 yards. Tucker Kraft, 4 targets, 2 catches, 13 yards. There's a lot there. He spread the ball around quite well. And then Kenny Clark recovered a fumble, Jair Alexander recovered a fumble, and Carl Brooks recovered a fumble. In terms of defense, Quay Walker, 11 total tackles, 10 of them were solo. They did not have any interceptions, so Xavier McKinney's streak breaks. They also did not have any sacks. In terms of kick returns, Keeson Nixon, 2 for 60 with a long of 37. Punt returns, Nixon, 2 for 39 with a long of 39. And Jaden Reed, 1 for 8. Narvison, 2 for 3 on field goals with a long of 41 and 4 for 4 on extra points. Congratulations, you figured out where the uprights are. Look, most of this happened because the Cardinals couldn't hold on to the football. That was the real downfall in this game. If Arizona had done a better job of paying attention to and attempting to hold on to the football and not letting so many of them get punched out and taken away from them, they might have come away with a win. I think that more than Harrison Jr. going out is what caused this loss. It's just their inability, because that's drive killers, man. Those are just drive killers because you're moving. If you look at the overall stats, they moved the ball well, but then that fumble just kills your momentum, man. You can't have that many of those. One of them, maybe you can get away with, but 3 of them, man, that just toasts your team. That's what beat them this game, is they did not get beat by Green Bay. They got beat by themselves and their inability to hang on to the football. That's what it really comes down to. Do better at hanging on to the football, and maybe you win that one, guys. All right, your turn. Unless you have anything else to say about that game.
No, the only thing I had to say about that game is I was thinking about banana bread French toast. That bad, huh? I mean, let's take a look. What do we got left here? Got a couple boring games. Got a couple of fun ones, decent games. You know what? Let's talk Falcons at Panthers. Falcons won 38-20. I believe we both probably picked the Falcons, if I'm correct.
Yes, we did.
Okay, I was gonna say I can't imagine either one of us was crazy.
I don't think either of us was crazy enough to pick the Panthers.
Yeah. Kirk Cousins, 19 for 30, 225 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. Tyler Algier finally getting back into the rhythm of things, 18 for 105 and a touchdown. And Bijan Robinson also involved 15 for 95 and 2 touchdowns. Finally got the run duo working. We'll see if that sticks or not. Drake London, 6 for 74 and 1 touchdown receiving. Ray MacLeod had 3 receptions for 30. Darnell Mooney had 3 for 38. Kyle Pitts, Jesus Christ. Kyle Pitts, 3 for 70. And Bijan was 3 for 10. My God, I cannot speak today.
You cannot speak today, can you?
Ray MacLeod lost a fumble. Clark Phillips III and A.J. Terrell each had an interception. And it looks like there was no sacks on the night, so that's one thing they didn't do. Young Wei Koo was 3 for 3 on field goals for a long of 35 and 3 for 3 on extra points. Ray MacLeod returned 1 kickoff for 25 yards. And Atlanta had 2 different people returning punts, Clark Phillips III and Avery Williams. Clark Phillips had a long of 15 and Avery Williams had a long of 14. Overall, pretty solid game from offense. Defense didn't get any sacks, but they did get some interceptions, so overall not bad. Let's go take a look at the Panthers. Andy Dalton, 26 of 38, 221 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Very much an Andy Dalton game, to be honest with you. That's what kind of Andy Dalton was always kind of did for the Bengals, too. He was kind of a gunslinger.
Mm-hmm.
Rushing, Andy Dalton, 3 for 21. Chuba Hubbard, 18 for 92. Miles Sanders, 3 for 1. Receiving, Chuba Hubbard, 5 for 11. Deontay Johnson, 6 for 78 and a touchdown. Xavier Leggett, 3 for 23 and a touchdown. And Jatavian Sanders, 5 for 49. Fumbles were done by Chuba Hubbard and Jatavian Sanders, but neither of them were lost. Carolina had no interceptions. They also had no sacks or tackles for losses. My gosh, their defense did basically nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Kicking, Eddie Pinheiro 2 for 2 for a long of 40 and 2 for 2 on extra points. Kickoff returns, Raheem Blackshear and Xavier Leggett each returned kickoffs. Raheem Blackshear had a long of 31, Xavier had a long of 25. And Raheem Blackshear also returned one punt for 12 yards. Yeah, I guess Carolina can still put up points, but they can't play defense. So,
Yeah.
there we go. That's all to really say about that. Falcons did what they had to do, which is show up and not play horribly.
That's about the way you beat the Panthers this year.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. All right. Anything else to say about that game?
Nope.
Didn't think so. That's a pretty sweet and quick game.
Yep.
I want to go gamble in Vegas.
I don't know why you'd want to, but okay.
Well, because we're going to talk about the Steelers and the Raiders.
You can certainly do that.
This was a weird game.
It was a game that happened.
It certainly did. We both picked the Steelers. We were both correct as they win 32-13. But I think we both saw that coming. Stats: Justin Fields, 14 of 24 for 145 yards. No touchdowns, no interceptions. Sacked 3 times for 35 yards. That's not good. However, rushing: Najee Harris, 14 carries, 106 yards, and a touchdown. Justin Fields, 11 carries, 59 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Look, I don't like him running that much, but if you gotta, you gotta, and he did in this game. And you know what? He got 2 touchdowns out of it, so you can't really be mad at it. Jonathan Ward, 3 carries, 13 yards. Jalen Warren, 6 for 7. My dog, that's like 1.2 yards per carry. And Amir Shamklin, 1 for -2. I don't even know who that is. Receptions: George Pickens, my dog, for a guy who thinks he's the second coming of Christ at wide receiver, 8 targets, 3 catches. That's not good. You can't blame all of that on Fields. Some of that is just you not getting your hands and securing the ball for 53 yards. Calvin Austin III, 5 targets, 2 catches for 36 yards. Najee Harris, 2 of 2 for 16. Freiermuth, 3 of 2 for 16. Jalen Warren, 3 of 3 for 11. Darnell Washington, 1 for 1 for 9. And Connor Hayward, 1 of 1 for 4. Not holding onto the ball was apparently infectious, but not too terribly bad. Fields did fumble, but he did not lose it. Deshaun Elliott, Keanu Benton, and Jalen Warren all recovered fumbles. Defensively, Patrick Queen had 13 total tackles. 6 of them were solo. Cameron Hayward had the only sack for the Steelers, and Dante Jackson picked the ball off. In terms of kick returns, Jalen Warren had 1 for 26 yards, and Minka Fitzpatrick took 1 for 7. Kicking, Chris Boswell kicked 4 field goals. One of them was 52 yards, and went 2 for 2 on extra points. Now, punching over to the Raiders. Aiden O'Connell, 27 of 40. Talk about asking your QB to throw a little too much. I'd like to see 10 less passes. I think that's about the sweet zone. For 227 yards, a touchdown and a pick, and sacked once for 9 yards. Rushing, Alexander Madison, 14 of 33 for a touchdown. Amir Abdullah, 4 for 24. And Dylan Laube, 1 for none. Receiving, Brock Bowers, 10 targets, 9 receptions, 71 yards. If you don't already have him in fantasy, pick him up now. If somebody's trying to trade him, take him now. Because without their key target, Adams? Yes, Adams. Without Adams coming back, Bowers looks like the only fucker that can catch the ball on the entire team.
Pretty much.
DJ Turner, 4 targets, 2 catches, 37 yards. Madison, 5 for 5 for 32. Alex Bachman. Bach. 3 for 3 for 31 yards. Harrison Bryant, 5 for 3 for 24. Kristen Wilkerson, 3 of 2 for 18. Amir Abdullah, 5 for 3 for 14. And Trey Tucker had 2 thrown at him and couldn't get either of them. In terms of fumbles, Amir Abdullah fumbled twice, lost one of them, recovered one of them. Dylan Laube fumbled once and lost it. Defensively, Nate Hobbs led the way in tackles with 10 of them. 4 of them were solo. Divine Diablo, again, and we're going to keep saying his name, another sack. John Jenkins and Max XX Crosby combined for a sack. And Calavian Chason, 1 sack, for a total of 3 sacks. Kick returns, Amir Abdullah got 1 for 31. He also tried to return punts 3 times, but got all of -1 yards for that. Daniel Carlson, 1 for 1 on extra points. Yeah, you guys got outplayed. And you asked Aiden O'Connell to throw way too much, way more than I'm comfortable. You guys, we've been saying it all season, and I think we're gonna keep saying it and harping on it. You guys really need a running game, and you don't have one. If you can find somebody who's trading away a halfway decent running back, you need to jump on it, and jump on it now. Because, you guys suck without one. And I mean, badly suck without one.
Agreed.
All right, your turn.
Oh, who lives in a pineapple under the sea?
SpongeBob SquarePants.
All right, but he doesn't play football, so we're going to talk about the Colts and Titans instead.
Boy, was this a boring game.
Like that transition?
Yes, I do.
Made absolutely no sense, but I made it work.
You know what? Whatever.
All right, this was a really boring game. Let's look at the stats. Joe Flacco, 22 of 38, 189 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Joe Flacco doing, his damnedest to keep this team relevant, which he somehow is.
The Colts, by the way.
Huh?
We both picked the Colts.
Yeah, and they barely won.
But they did win.
They did win, though. Tyler Godson, 8 for 51 rushing. Trey Sermon was 18 for 29 rushing. Obviously, being without JT really hurt their ability to run the football. Let's look at their receiving, though. Josh Downs, 4 for 66 and a touchdown. Mo Alley Cox, 4 for 41. Tyler Goodson, 4 for 14. Andrew Ogletree, 2 for 24. And Michael Pittman, 3 for 35 and a touchdown. No fumbles. Julian Blackman had 1 interception. No sacks by the defense, so they weren't doing much, unfortunately. Kicking, Matt Gay was 2 for 2 for a long of 26 and 2 for 2 on extra points. Kickoff returns was done by Tyler Goodson, 1 for 27. And Josh Downs had 4 punt returns for a long of 23. Boring! Let's go look at the Titans. Probably even more boring, I'm sure. Yep.
Except
Will
for
Levis,
the fact
16...
that, except for the fact that Will Levis probably did something insane.
Probably. He always seems to. Will Levis, 16 for 27, 95 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Shocking. Oh, dude, he had less than 100 yards passing. That's big oof time. Rushing, Will Levis, 3 for 15. Tony Pollard, 17 for 93 and a touchdown. The only thing apparently they can do. Tajay Spears, 6 for 26 on the ground. Receiving, Tyler Boyd, 3 for 19. DeAndre Hopkins, 4 for 54. I bet he wants out of there fucking now. Traylon Burks, 1 for 10. Man, awful. Just awful. Chig Okonkwo had 1 fumble, but did not lose it. Amani Hooker had 1 interception for them. No sacks either by that team. Jesus. Nick Folk, 1 for 1 for field goals for 44 yards and 2 for 2 on extra points. No kickoff returns. And Jaquan Jackson had 2 punt returns for a long of 11. This game was boring in every sense of the word that it was boring. Like, neither team particularly played all that well. Joe Flacco did his best to keep this offense relevant whatsoever. Managed to do just enough to win the game. But honestly, this is a game where both teams should definitely have thought about losing, because both teams very much could have lost, and they practically did. Like, this just was not a pretty game by any sense or stretch of the imagination.
I 100% agree with you, and it was very boring to watch and not at all fun.
Yeah.
So,
You can have the next one.
why, thank you. I think
You're
I'm
welcome.
going to do Chargers Broncos before we get to Sunday night and Monday night, which both of those games were snooze fests.
Actually, Monday night I think was fairly entertaining.
I strongly disagree.
It was entertaining for all of the wrong reasons, sure, but it was still entertaining.
Yeah, that's true.
It's still kind of entertaining. At least both teams tried to score.
Okay, that's true. That's true. All right, so Chargers, Broncos. All right. Anyway, as we were saying, I do believe. Nope, we split on this one. I picked the Chargers, you picked the Broncos. Chargers win 23-16.
And it wasn't as close as it sounds.
No, it wasn't. Let's talk stats. Justin Herbert, 21 of 34, 237 yards and a touchdown, sacked 3 times for 15 yards. Rushing, J.K. Dobbins, 25 carries, 96 yards and a touchdown. Darius Davis, 2 for 14. Kamani Vidal, 4 for 11. Hassan Haskins, 2 for 5. Justin Herbert, 4 for 2. Quentin Johnson, 1 for none. You think Harbaugh... Oh, and let's not forget, partway through the game, Harbaugh had to leave the sidelines for a heart issue. He would return.
Yeah.
Receiving, Simi Fehoko, 4 targets, 2 catches, 44 yards. Lad McConkey, 8 targets, 4 catches, 43 yards. Kamani Vidal, 2 targets, 2 catches, 40 yards, and a touchdown. Joshua Palmer, 3 targets, 2 catches, 38 yards. Will Dissly, 5 targets, 4 catches, 26 yards. Quentin Johnson, 4 targets, 3 catches, 22 yards. Stone Smart, 1 for 1 for 10. Darius Davis, 2 for 1 for 8. J.K. Dobbins, 2 for 2 for 6. In terms of fumbles, Herbert did fumble but recovered, and Tier Tart recovered a fumble. In terms of defense, Aloy Gilman had 10 total tackles, 6 of them solo, and a sack. Morgan Fox also had a sack. Elijah Molden had 1 interception, which he took for 25 yards. Darius Davis returned 2 punts for 26 yards with a long of 18. Dicker the kicker went 3 for 3 on field goals with a long of 46 and 2 for 2 on extra points. Not bad. They played a very complete game and ran the ball down the Broncos' throat. Now, Broncos, why did they lose? Bo Nix, 19 of 33 for 216 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, sacked twice for 10 yards. Rushing, Bo Nix, 6 for 61. That's why you lost. If your rookie quarterback is your leading rusher, you got a problem, unless his name is Lamar Jackson or Jaden Daniels.
I was going to say, and even then, they typically aren't leading in their rushing either.
No. Lamar has in the past, but you generally don't want him
yes,
to be
but it's not typically.
No, exactly. I think the Ravens, you're going to laugh at me. I think the Ravens actually play better when Lamar doesn't lead them in rushing.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't mind him rushing on some occasions and definitely, using his legs to prolong plays, but he shouldn't be looking to rush all the time. No.
Exactly.
Javonte
Williams.
I don't think that's something to laugh at, because I don't disagree with that at all.
Javonte Williams, 6 carries, 23 yards. Audric Estime, 2 for 13. Jaleel McLaughlin, 3 for 8. Troy Franklin, 1 for 5. All in all, you rushed 18 times for 110 yards. That's great for one person. Receiving, Devon Vele, 6 targets, 4 catches, 78 yards. Cortland Sutton, 6 for 4, 53 yards and a touchdown. Troy Franklin, 3 for 2, 31 yards and a touchdown. Jaleel McLaughlin, 2 for 2, 17 yards. Javonte Williams, 6 targets, 3 catches, 13 yards. Lucas Kroll. I like that last name. Kroll. But unfortunately, 4 targets, only 2 catches for 11 yards. Lil Jordan Humphrey. Still love the fact that his actual name is Lil Jordan. 1 for 1 for 8 yards. Nate Adkins, 1 for 1 for 5. Marvin Mims Jr., 3 targets, no catches. Step it up, Mims. Javonte Williams did fumble and lose it. In terms of defense, Brandon Jones, 12 total tackles, 11 of them solo. Zach Allen and Jonathan Cooper combined for a sack. Justin Strnad? Strnad. Sternad. Justin Sternad had a sack. Nick Bonito had a sack. Tremont Smith returned 1 kick for 31 yards. Mims took 1 punt for 10. Will Lutz was 1 for 1 on field goals with a long of 40 and 1 for 1 on extra points. So what killed you? You do not have a running game.
Seems to be a theme.
Gee, maybe all these running backs that got together and said we should be paid better and that the teams need us were right.
No, that can't possibly be it.
No, we're just all delusional, and the quarterbacks just need to play better.
Of course.
Alrighty, which one are you taking?
You know what? You do Sunday, I'll do Monday.
Alright, you want me to do Sunday now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Alright, so Sunday night. This was a sleeper game. I hated it. I fell asleep trying to watch it.
I literally turned it off about halfway through.
Oh, yeah, it was boring. Boring, dull. Bengals at Giants. I picked the Bengals. You picked the Giants. Bengals win 17-7. And like we said, this game, dull, boring. I'll go through it as quick as I can. About the most exciting thing that happened, well, we'll get to it. Bengals stats. Joe Burrow, 19 of 28 for 208 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, sacked 4 times for 25 yards. Rushing, Joe Burrow, 4 for 55 and a touchdown. That 47-yard scamper by Joe Burrow was the most exciting thing to happen in the entire fucking game.
Yep.
When I saw that, I was like, ooh, this is going to be fun to watch.
Mm-hmm. No, that one thing was fun to watch.
Yeah, the rest of that game was boring. Chase Brown, though, 10 for 53 and a touchdown. That's not bad.
Not bad.
Not bad. Zach Moss, 6 for 13. T. Higgins, 7 targets, 7 catches, 77 yards. I don't know what that says, but I like it. 7 of 7 for 77. Jamar Chase, 6 targets, 5 catches, 72 yards. Andre Iosivas, 3 targets, 2 catches, 36 yards. Chase Brown, 3 targets, 2 catches, 11 yards. Eric All Jr., 3 targets, 2 catches, 10 yards. Zach Moss, 1 for 1 for 2 yards. Zach Moss fumbled and lost it. Chase Brown fumbled, but he did not lose it. Defensively, Logan Wilson had 9 total tackles, 5 of them solo. Trey Hendrickson had the only 2 sacks for the Bengals. Jermaine Pratt did have an interception, which he took 24 yards. Charlie Jones returned 1 kick for 31, and he returned 2 punts for 13 with a long of 14. Evan McPherson was 1 for 1 on field goals with a long of 37 and 2 for 2 on extra points. Now, what happened to New York? Well, the same thing that always happens to New York. Daniel Jones, 22 of 41 for 205 yards and a pick, sacked twice for 15 yards. Yeah. And then Daniel Jones, 11 carries, 56 yards. Tyrone Tracy Jr., 17 for 50 and a touchdown. The problem was, again, no running game. However, Darius Slayton, 11 targets, 6 catches, 57 yards. Did you win this week without running backs?
No,
I'm sorry.
I was that close at the end. He had a really good player that popped off in the very last game.
Oh, I hate it when that happens.
Yep.
Tyrone Tracy, 6 targets, 6 catches, 57 yards. Wandale Robinson, 11 targets, 5 catches, 50 yards. Theo Johnson, 3 targets, 3 catches, 30 yards. Jalen Hyatt, 4 targets, 1 catch, 6 yards. Isaiah Hodgins, 1 for 1 for 5. Micah McFadden did recover a fumble. Tyler Newman, the rookie from Minnesota, 9 total tackles, 5 solo. Brian Burns, hey, paying dividends finally, got a sack. Aziz Ojulari had 2 sacks. Dexter Lawrence had a sack. There's your 4. There were no interceptions. They did not return a kick. Amir Smith Marset tried to return punts. He did so twice and only got a yard out of it. Greg Joseph. This is the Greg Joseph we sometimes know. 0 for 2 on field goals. 1 for 1 on extra points. And that is how Cincinnati put a 2 in their win column finally.
Woo!
All right.
Finally did it.
Final game.
Let's talk Buffalo Bills at New York Jets. Buffalo Bills 23, New York Jets 20.
We both
Let's talk about how this
Bills.
game was a lot closer than it had any right to be.
And we both picked the Bills.
And we both did pick the Bills. Bills did the classic thing that they always do. Almost lose the game. I don't know why that's become a thing for them, but apparently it has been. Let's look at stats. Josh Allen, 19 of 25 for 215 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no picks. Rushing, Josh Allen, 9 for 18 and a touchdown. Ray Davis, 20 for 97, and Ty Johnson, 4 for 34. Excuse me. Logie, no. All right, I think we're good now.
Okay.
Keon Coleman, 3 receptions for 26 yards. Ray Davis, 3 for 55. Mac Hollins, 1 for 8 and a touchdown. Dalton Kincaid, 6 for 51. Dawson Knox, 1 for 12 and a touchdown. Curtis Samuel, 3 for 44. And Khalil Shakir, 2 for 19. Breath. Josh Allen did fumble the ball but did not lose it. Tyron Johnson had 1 interception. AJ Epinesa, it's not Espinzaya, it's Epinesa?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Epinesa. 2 sacks. Daquan Jones had a sack, so for 3 sacks on the night. Buffalo kicking, Tyler Bass, 1 for 2 for a long of 22 and 2 for 3 on extra points. Ugh, should be missing those, my guy. And kickoff returns were done.
To be fair.
Fair. And kickoff return was done by Brandon Cotterington, 1 for 24. So overall, a decent showing from the Bills. Should have been a lot better, but Josh Allen playing well enough to keep that game.
I will say Ray Davis is a rookie running back. I believe he's a rookie.
And Ray Davis has been playing well.
He played very well in relief of James Cook.
Yeah.
And he had one of those catches that you just look at and you go, first off, how does Josh Allen make that throw?
Right, yeah.
And second off, how does Ray Davis come down with it?
Fair enough. Let's take a look over at the Jets and see what they did. Aaron Rodgers, 23 of 35, 294 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Not a bad game.
Not
a bad game. This is more closer to what you expect from an Aaron Rodgers. So
yes,
we'll see if that keeps up or not. Rushing, Breece Hall, 18 for 113 yards. My God, they finally got him a game.
That's exactly what I was thinking, and I was going to say, for a guy that I've been having in the showers and has just been absolute dog turds up until this game, I watched him start running this game, and I was like, oh, look, the new game plan seems to be to make a hole for Breece Hall and let him go run things.
Jeez, shocking, it works. Breece Hall, 5 for 56 catching. Alan Lazard, 6 for 114 and a touchdown. Jeremy Ruckett, 2 for 7. Garrett Wilson, 6 for 107 and a touchdown as well. Fumbles. Aaron Rodgers did fumble the ball but did not lose it. No interceptions. Will McDonald IV had a sack, and Quinion Williams had a sack, so for a total of 2 sacks on the night. Jets Greg Sirline 2 for 4 on field goals for a long of 34 and 2 for 2 on extra points. Jets had Isaiah Davis returning kickoffs, 1 for 33, and Xavier Gibson returned 1 punt for 8 yards. Honestly, the Jets could have had opportunities. Me and Dad were watching the end where the Jets had opportunities to kick those field goals to try to tie the game up and missing both of them. Very close in succession. We both were like, my God, Greg, why? I get it. It's windy and everything, but like,
You got to make one of those.
you got to make those clutch, important moments, my guy. So, unfortunately, the Jets did lose out in an unfortunate game that actually was very winnable for them
Very
based on
winnable
how
for them.
weak the
Way closer than it
Bills
should
have
have
been. Yeah, the Bills have not been playing well. This was a Jets potential win. They did not win it this time, but it's looking more and more like maybe we were wrong and the Jets can still somehow salvage this season, but I'm not sure. We'll see.
We'll see if Devontae tips the scales at all.
Yep.
And that's the end of the week. I did beat you this week. We split on 4 games. I took 3 of them.
Yes. I'm well aware.
All right. Ready for some showers?
Yeah, yes.
You want me to start?
Yeah, go ahead.
All righty. Everyone in the Cowboys organization, except Brandon Aubrey. You've been good. You may go. Everybody else get in the shower and stay there and think about what you've done.
Who do I pick on today?
Everyone.
You know what? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of options. I'm just trying to think about which ones I actually really want to do here because I have some also people in my Inferno and I don't want to cross too many.
I feel you.
Too many over.
I feel you.
I mean, I guess I could just go with a classic. Just go Deshaun Watson. You haven't done anything. You might as well go back in the showers. Don't come out, but I know you will. I just hope you don't.
The refs. Especially those from the Monday night game.
Yeah.
Even Aaron Rodgers called you out for when you threw the roughing the passer in his favor. He goes, that was not roughing the passer.
Yeah.
So yes, get in the shower, take your flags. You know where to stick them.
Yeah, I guess we can just stick the Raiders in here. Just I feel like all of you just need to take a real nice long shower and take a look at what you're trying to build over there, because clearly you are missing a lot of things.
I'm going to pick on one Jaguar. And only one. Travis Etienne. Look, I understand you got injured, but you weren't playing well before that. And for God's sakes, you were a first-round pick. Get in the shower. Think about what you've done.
That's fair. Ooh. Decisions. You know what? Kyler Murray, I'm gonna put you in the showers. You even admitted to the fact that you guys have to play better. You played okay, but your team, like, there was just a lot of things that went wrong, and you at least have taken a little bit of that on yourself. But maybe you need to sit down yourself and just kind of take a breather,
You know what, though?
recollect yourself.
That's a much better version of Kyler Murray than we would have seen
Oh
a couple
yeah,
of years
of course.
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
All
disagreeing with that, but he needs to recollect himself for the next part of the
I
season.
agree. Inferno?
Sure, we can do that.
All right. You want me to start or you want to start?
You can start. It's fine.
All right, I'll start at the low end for me. Doug Peterson. Welcome to the 7th circle of the Inferno.
Oh, you're going from the highest to the lowest?
No, I thought 1 was the lowest and 10 is the highest.
I thought it was the other way around.
We always switch it.
Do we? I don't
Yeah.
fucking remember.
I
thought
always
we
say
were going...
1 is the lowest, 10 is the highest.
I thought the 10th circle was the hottest because it was further down, and that the first circle.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The 10th circle's the hottest.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
yeah,
I've
got it down to the 7th layer, which means he's pretty hot.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that we were in agreement, but just in different ways of wording it. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm not starting at the hottest.
That's what I'm saying. You're starting pretty hot though, so I figured
Yeah.
you would have had somebody even
No, I'm starting
lower. I guess
higher up in the circles.
cooler. Yeah.
Cooler. Yeah, nope.
I have a couple people who are cooler, so
I do not.
Okay.
Doug Peterson, you are in the 7th circle. Your chair is heating up. If you do not win this next game in London, rent a flat, stay there. You're not going to be the coach of the Jaguars anymore. And you may not be welcome back in the States. So,
Fair enough. I didn't change mine. Well, I did change this one. Zach Taylor, you're in the 3rd circle still. You guys can't be barely winning football games. It's not even Joe Burrow. Like, people are like wanting to point out, like, Joe Burrow's playing really well still on a really shitty team for some reason. Like, I don't know what's going on, but you guys got to figure something out. I know you really don't have much of a chance to lose your job just because I know that owner can't literally afford to potentially try to pick up a new one, but like, you will eventually lose the fan base that you have grown to be able to get and be able to then afford all of the funding that you've been able to get. Like, I'm just saying, if I was the owner and seeing this, I'd be like worried that a lot of the deals that I've been making to be able to get more money and more funding for my team would all of a sudden start evaporating very quickly.
mm-hmm.
I'd be very upsetty spaghetti about that.
Yeah, I would be too. Nick Sirianni, welcome to the 8th circle. You're jaw-jacking with your own fans. You had an entirely full roster this week and only beat the Browns by 4 points. If I was the president, I believe it's Jeff Laurier, is either the owner or the president of that team.
Yeah.
If I was the owner, if I was the president, I'm looking at your antics now and the stuff you did with Big Dom and everything else. And I'm beginning to wonder why the fuck I'm keeping you around.
That's fair. In my 6th circle, I have Nick Sirianni. I'm a little cooler on him than you are, but I basically ended with what I said to basically say it might be time to move on. You're barely winning games at this point. You're having too many fights and too many issues with a lot of other players, coaches, and now fans. If I was definitely ownership, I'd be looking at it and going, okay, we lose too many more games, and I'm just going to fire you mid-season. If you continue to be able to squeak by, I might let you finish the season, but you're probably still gone either way.
Yes. Mike Zimmer, 10th circle. Why?
Yeah.
Because your defense just got taken out behind the woodshed. You didn't get beat. They brought a shotgun and put you out of your misery.
Yeah.
Okay, somebody needs to relieve you of your duties and put you out of your misery because
literally someone posted that
fair.
the Lions were just like playing with their food basically.
Absolutely, that's exactly what this was. You had no chance from the opening buzzer, from the opening whistle, and you guys got romped.
Yeah, apparently they felt very They felt cheated apparently last season in the playoffs and decided that they wanted to slap you in the face for it. And they they didn't slap you in the face. They knocked your ass on the ground. They came to play football. You came to dance with the stars.
Yeah, they absolutely annihilated you and your entire team and your defense. At some point, there's going to be a sacrifice made, and it's not going to be McCarthy because he's going to make it through the season.
Yeah.
You're going to be the sacrifice.
You will be the first chopping block, yep. Alright. In my 9th circle, because I reserved my 10th for only the heinous of the heinous, but we're getting close with this. With this, we have the Browns ownership. And all I said was, let him go! Just let him go! Let him go! Deshaun Watson is not... Come on. I don't care how much... We are now at sunken cost fallacy to the point that, like, I cannot even, like, imagine. Like, you gotta let it go. I know that it cost you a lot of money. I understand that that's a large investment. You fucked up. It's okay. Make mistakes. Let it go. He obviously isn't your guy. I promise you, you start Jameis Winston literally tomorrow, and he will perform better than Deshaun Watson is.
100%.
Like, it's not even... I think there was a stat on Bootleg Football that they brought up that Deshaun Watson is since, like, 2000. Since all of the players since 2000, all the QBs have played since 2000. We're talking like 602 QBs or some shit. Deshaun Watson's EPA ranks him for this season so far 592nd. He is literally worse than 500 other QBs. Think of QBs that aren't even playing, that are sitting on the bench. They are better players than Deshaun Watson is, statistically speaking. I don't know how any owner can look at this and go, yeah, my coach is still saying our best chance to win is Deshaun Watson, and knowing full well that coach, being the offensive-minded guru that he is, fucking is lying through his teeth and everyone knows it because he's being told to say it. And
Yes.
we all know who it's coming from. It's coming from fucking ownership.
100%.
There's got to be a point where you realize you fucked up and let it go. Jameis Winston will literally win you games starting tomorrow. This team has potential. You're letting it die. Like, if I was the coach, I would literally resign. I would step down. I would just say, I am not going to let you drag my name through the mud for Deshaun Watson.
Now, the only other thing I can think of is that ownership has promised him that after this season, Deshaun Watson will be let go and he'll be able to select his own quarterback in the draft, which should be very high.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the only reason I would stay. Yeah.
Yep, 100%. Game balls?
Which at that point, why not just let me start Jameis then?
Because then you might start winning. And if you start winning, you might not have the first overall pick.
See, at that point, though, like, again, we're getting into the nuances of owners are not supposed to tank. I mean, the football teams aren't supposed to purposely tank, but the owner is starting to come across like that is exactly what they're doing. And if I was the coach, I'd be pissed about it.
Absolutely. Players don't tank. Coaches don't want to tank.
Aren't supposed to, yeah.
But owners and GMs are dirty liars. No, we're
Yes.
just trying to put the team on the field that we feel gives us the best chance to win. No,
But that's what I'm saying. This is one of those cases where you can't tell me, look me in the face with a straight face and tell me Deshaun Watson gives you a better chance at winning football games than Jameis Winston. You just can't. And be serious. Like, come on. Anyways.
Game
Now
balls?
that I'm done ranting.
Yes. Game balls?
Sure.
Game balls. You want to start?
Derrick Henry, game ball.
Sean
Of course.
Tucker, game ball.
That was a good one. Yep, that was a good one. Mixon, welcome back, game ball.
Brees Hall, welcome back, game ball.
I was gonna say, yep. Will Anderson Jr., Game ball.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I got so many on here. What do I want to... Who do I want to give my last game ball to? Ray Davis. Making an all halfback game ball session. You get a game ball. Honorable mentions Caleb Williams and Jared Goff.
That's fair.
That's fair. Alrighty. Potatoes?
Yeah, sure. You go first, though.
Which one do I want to start with? You know what? I'll start with one that I think is an easy one. Start with the least spicy one. Maybe the Jets' ownership is just setting money on fire?
Definitely comes across that way. There does seem to be some weird method to their madness, but it does definitely appear to be a lot of just burning money. I got one for you.
Go ahead.
I don't think it's particularly spicy either. Maybe, just maybe, the NFC North is the best division in football.
Oh no, that's not even arguable. That's true. That's true. But now I think half that reason is because they've only had like 2 division games.
True,
Maybe 3.
that's true.
Most of their games have been out of division at this
Yeah,
point.
Minnesota,
So they
Packers, Lions. Yeah, no, and now it'll be 3 when we play.
Yep. I was going to say,
Vikings,
I think it was because primarily speaking, we've played mostly out of division games, and we haven't beat the crap out of each other.
True.
All right. Oh, which of these is spicier? You know, I'll go with this one first, then I'll take the last one there for you. Maybe, just maybe, the next head coach to be fired will not be Doug Peterson. It'll be Nick Sirianni?
I was going to say, it's going to be either one at a very alarming fast rate, so it's hard to say. I'm not necessarily going to disagree with it, but I'm not necessarily going to agree with it either, because literally at this point you can flip a coin and be correct on which one's going to go first.
But that's why I had to throw it.
But they're definitely the next 1 and 2, no question at this point. Maybe. Just maybe. The Bengals are still somehow going to make the playoffs.
I'm going to say probably not, but that there is a possibility you're right. I'll eat a corner of that. I'll eat like a little bit of it. I'm not going to eat the whole thing because I think it really depends on... We know the Ravens are going to make it. And then it comes down to, is Russell better than...
Fields,
thank you. The name was not coming to me. I knew it was a J and something.
You're good.
Is Russell Wilson better than Justin Fields? And if he's not, how long does Tomlin stick with Wilson before going back to Fields?
Good question.
Because if Wilson is not better than Fields and the team starts losing badly, does he pull the plug on that real quick and go back to Fields and try to keep winning? Because if so, maybe the Bengals can't catch the Steelers. But if not, they could potentially catch the Steelers and pass them. And That's the big question for me right now is how long is this Russell Wilson thing going to last, and is he going to be better than Fields?
You're right.
Because if not, you might cost yourself that race.
That's fair.
So that's why I'm going to eat a little bit of it, but I still think if Wilson has a bad game, Fields is coming right back in.
I tend to agree with that.
All right, here's the spicy one for you. Maybe. Far-fetched. But as long as Jerry owns the Cowboys, they'll never make another Super Bowl run?
I mean, let's see here. He's pretty fucking old at this point, so I mean, it's very possible actually.
I think it was his
'Cause we're
83rd
talking,
birthday or something.
yeah. As long as he owns the team too, like I don't know if he's not going to own them up until his death. Like, well, maybe he might. I don't
He
know.
might,
He
knowing
be.
him.
He might be vain enough to do that shit. But even if he lives to be 100, we're still that we're talking less than 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking possibly up to 17 years. So we'll say roughly a decade, probably. I'd say this is a fair guess.
Yep.
So you're saying within the next decade, they won't have a Super Bowl run. So are we just talking about getting to the Super Bowl?
I didn't even say winning it. I said a Super Bowl run, making it to the Super Bowl.
So just making it to the Super
Yeah.
Bowl. I would say odds dictate that is unlikely. They seem to have enough talent on the team more often than not to be able to somehow be competitive.
We've heard that before, and the last time they made a Super Bowl run...
I know. I'm saying odds dictate that can't continue, that we're not going to have another 10-year, 15-year drought almost. Like, I just don't foresee that being likely. Like I said, eventually that the odds are going to stack up and they'll just have a magic season at some point. But I can say that it certainly doesn't look good. I'll say I disagree only just because that amount of time just feels unlikely enough for that to not be a case at some point. But hey, won't know for another decade, so we'll see, I guess, how the rest of the fucking decade goes.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Maybe, just maybe, Seattle are exactly who we thought they were.
Yeah, I'll eat that this time. They look like they're coming apart at the seams.
Mm-hmm. They're not a bad football team. They're just not a great football team.
They're not a great football team. I don't think they're going to hold that West Division. No. I think the Niners will eventually take that from them.
It looks like the Niners are probably taking it with what I would actually say to be a hurt, potentially healing Rams, actually at second over the Cardinals, just because the Cardinals, unless they
find some way to turn this around,
this week very quickly, they're going to start losing too fast, too quickly as well.
Yep. All right. Power rankings. You want to start?
Rankings of power?
Rankings of power.
Sure. I can start. At number 10, I have the Chicago Bears. That they're on my list at 10. They continue to improve. They continue to look good, but again, shitty teams. So I can't really move them up and feel good about it because, you beat down on a weaker opponent. Fair enough. I expect you to do that. Now let's see how you do against another opponent that's either equal or better than you.
My number 10 is I hate saying this.
You're gonna say the Packers?
Yeah, the Green Bay Packers.
Bro, motherfucker, they're still not on my top 10. Get out of here.
They're in mine. They barely lost the season opener, and some could argue that they maybe should have won. And then they got beat by the Vikings, but admittedly they were out their two best cornerbacks, and their quarterback was just coming back from injury. So there is I hate the excuse game, but there is some precedent there. And in fact, they did almost come back on us. So
But they didn't.
they did not. No. So, but still, they've played some good teams. They've beaten some decent teams. I feel like they've played more quality games than the Bears, which is why they're here and not the Bears. Although the Bears were very close.
At number 9, I am still being very disrespectful of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's not on purpose. It's just that I think the other teams are better if they were to play them. It's not that the Bucs are bad. They're not. I just think there's just a lot of really high quality opponents that are above them, and it feels weird saying that.
I also have the Bucks at 9, and it's not because I think they're bad. I just think they're streaky.
Well, they're streaky. Their defense worries me a little bit, to be honest with you.
Baker's
mostly because of the turnovers from Baker.
Yep,
yeah.
Baker's a bit too much of a gunslinger sometimes, and that's getting them in a little bit of trouble. As much as it can bail them out of trouble, it can also get them into it.
Speaking of, we're going on to number 8 at the Atlanta Falcons. They very much have impressed me, and the only reason they're above the Bucs is just because they happened to win that game. Otherwise, this would be reversed. The Bucs would have been above the Falcons if they would have beaten the Falcons, but fortunately, that's not how things worked.
Number 8, the Atlanta Falcons. Again, because they beat the Bucs, they've been playing some good football. Kirk looks like he's playing decently enough, and they've got a running game back going right now. I am still leery of their defense, but you know what? They don't look horrible overall, so.
Fair enough. At 7, I have the Buffalo Bills. You won a football game. Didn't look good, but you won. Here you are, buddies. You're at 7.
At number 7, I have the Buffalo Bills.
Woo!
Because you're not playing great football, but you're playing just good enough to stay in the top 10.
Pretty much. At number 6, I have the Washington Commanders. You did lose against the Ravens, so you did drop. I had you at 5. Now you're at 6. It wasn't a big drop because it was a major opponent, but you did lose, so you did have to drop.
At number 6, I have the Texans. You're continuing to climb. I'm becoming a little more comfortable with bringing you up. If you keep winning, you'll continue to rise. Good job, guys. You're getting over that thumping Minnesota gave you.
At number 5, I have the Texans. I have more faith in them, and I have always had more faith in them than you do. I think they're just a great football team. Unfortunately, there's just 4 other teams that I think are better.
At number 5, I have the Commanders. Sorry, I'm just a little high on them. I like them a lot. I think they're a fun team. I don't expect them to stay up here the entire season. I do expect at some point they're going to start falling. But enjoy the ride.
Pretty much. At number 4, I have the Detroit Lions. You just smacked the shit out of the Cowboys. That was a good game. Unfortunately, you're going to face a lot harder of an opponent, and we're going to see how that goes.
So, I'm going to surprise you with my number 4. You're probably going to tell me I'm wrong, but I'm going to make an argument for this.
You can go ahead. If you move down a bye week person, I mean, you can.
I did.
It's not uncommon. Not uncommon. I don't know if I necessarily agree with people.
But it's not because of the bye week.
Well, no, most people don't do it. It's because everyone else around them played. I get it.
It's the Chiefs. And I have my reasons.
Okay, that's a weird choice.
Hear me out. Week 1, you literally only won because of a toenail. You've been bailed out by at least 3 flags. All of your games, except for one, have been like field goal style games. Barely winning. And you're getting bailed out by lucky flags.
Oh, yeah.
So you are
Unfortunately,
literally
luck is a factor,
couple
though.
of flags and a toenail away from being 1-4. Or 1 and 4.
They're absolutely one of the luckiest teams, but that's a factor, unfortunately, too. So.
It is. And I'm going to say Mahomes isn't playing well. And you do have a lot of injuries. You are going to fall sooner rather than later. I
You
am
would suspect
looking
so,
back
anyways.
at your wins and saying they are not of great quality, and despite you not having been beaten yet, you should have a couple of times.
Oh, should have, yeah. Again, the
So,
luck factor, I think, is
yep,
just one of those things that,
yep, 100, which is why I moved you down.
I get it.
It has nothing to do with you being on a bye. There's everything to do with me looking at you and saying, even if you'd played and won this week, I'd have probably moved you down unless that victory was super convincing. But if it had been like
Okay.
your other victories, I still would have moved you down because that's not acceptable.
Yeah, fair enough. Um, at number 3, I have the Baltimore Ravens because, well, I mean, I don't know what else do I say. Derrick Henry is really good. Lamar Jackson is great when he doesn't have to run all the time. I don't know what else to tell you.
At number 3, I also have the Ravens for the same reasons. We knew this Henry and Lamar backfield was going to be dangerous, and it has been. Um, when Lamar doesn't have to carry the whole team, he looks a lot more confident and a lot better. I really like how he looks this year. He's playing great football. Henry is playing rejuvenated like I am the king football. I think he's just happy to be away from Tennessee, to be honest.
I agree. I agree. And obviously, my 1 and 2 hasn't changed. I do have the Chiefs at 2 with the Vikings at 1.
I have the Lions at 2 with the Vikings at
Yeah, I
1. And it's
figured that's the one that
primarily
you did,
because
yeah.
the Lions just smacked the Cowboys in the mouth. Now, are the Lions going to stay at 2?
So,
Probably
yeah,
not. They're
I was
probably
gonna say
going to.
I didn't bring him up for that because like I looked at it as, oh, you beat up on a weak Cowboys team. It looks good, don't get me wrong, but it's a weak Cowboys team, so
Well,
it wasn't a
until they lost, they
quality
were
win.
3-2, which
I know, but like, it was a false. We all knew what they were. Come on,
we do. We do. But still, beating them up
they
that
were
badly,
what we thought they were.
beating them up that badly does deserve a jump to me. You're
Yeah, I
probably
gave
going to
him a
fall
little. I
because
gave
I
him a
would
raise, but not
I
that big.
expect you to lose this week, but
Well,
let's
we both are kind of in that same boat.
let's get into it, shall we?
I guess.
Picks for week 7, starting
Mm-hmm.
Thursday.
Thursday.
Broncos at Saints.
Interesting. I think they're both playing still the rookie QBs, so
I think so.
that'll be an interesting game. I'm actually think if I look at the totality of the teams, I think the Saints actually have a better team on paper. So I'm going to actually lean for Spencer Rattler to get his first victory here.
You know what? I'll take the Broncos here.
Fair. No,
I'll do
that's fair.
that.
They got more. They got more experience. So
They
you know.
do. And so we could see how that works out.
Yeah.
Lions at Vikings.
Vikings.
Yep, let's run it to 6-0.
I'm not. I mean, I think it'll be close, but
Yes, but I think this will
But
be
I
a
think the
great
Vikings
game,
will
and I
speak
do
out.
think it'll be a much harder game for them than the Cowboys game.
Agreed.
London game, Pats at Jags.
wow, that game's gonna suck. I guess Drake May's gonna get his first win. So
You know what? I'll take that the Jags will get a second win and save Doug Peterson's job. Titans at Bills.
oh, Bills, especially now that they got Amari Cooper.
Yeah, definitely. Eagles at Giants.
Yeah. I mean, if Malik Neighbors is coming back, definitely Giants. I guess that we don't know for sure. I know Darius Slayton's now questionable, so we'll see. Ooh, that's kind of a toss-up because the Eagles. I mean, Saquon, revenge game, right? So maybe he's just gonna go crazy.
Yep.
I guess I'll lean Eagles just because of Saquon, and I think he's gonna be the X factor there.
I'm going to go with you on that. Seahawks at Falcons.
Falcons. Seahawks aren't playing well enough, I think.
Absolutely, I agree.
To top that.
Bengals at Browns. I think we both know where we're going.
God,
with that.
that's gotta be Bengals. If it's not, oh
If the
boy, we
Bengals
got lots of
lose
problems.
that game, there's going to be problems. I
Oh,
agree
yeah.
with you. Dolphins at Colts.
I mean, it's probably gonna be Colts, unless Tua is playing. I mean,
I haven't heard.
I haven't heard. I know that I've heard that he's coming back at quote unquote some time.
Maybe Skylar is coming in.
I have no idea.
I don't
I
know.
have no idea who's playing. So I'm just going to assume the Colts win just because the Dolphins don't have a quarterback. So
I agree, and I think Flacco is better than Richardson, and if they play Flacco, I think they just destroy the Dolphins.
I agree.
Panthers at Commanders. Obviously, we're both going to take the Commanders.
Yeah, it's Commanders, yeah.
Raiders at Rams.
Raiders just sold away their most important piece outside of Bowers, so I'm going to say Rams just because they have a little bit more going for them overall.
I'll take that. I'll take the Raiders simply because with the Rams, as many injuries as they have, I just don't.
Yeah, I get it.
That's the only reason why. If the Rams had either Puka or Cooper, I would take the Rams in a heartbeat. Chiefs at Niners.
Chiefs just they just always seem to find a way to win. 49ers are starting to have a good comeback. But they've been looking a little rough themselves. It's be a pretty even game. It's really hard to go against the Chiefs. I mean, I'll say I would prefer the 49ers to win, but I think the Chiefs will still find a way to win the game.
I'll take the Niners. 100% I will.
That's fair.
Jets at Steelers.
Don't know how Russell. Yeah, we don't know how Russell Wilson's going to play. And will Devontae Adams do enough to help the Jets? I'm going to lean actually on the Jets. I do think Devontae Adams brings enough firepower along with Garrett Wilson and Alan Lazard. It's obviously whoever's doing the new play calling, it's obvious, knows what he's doing because they were able to play pretty well last game. We'll see if that transitions. If it does, if it transitions properly into this week, then I think that they are the favored in that game.
I agree, and I will go with you on that. I don't have enough trust in Russell Wilson.
Yeah, that's the big one.
And that's really what it comes down to for me.
I just don't have a trust. Like, that Steelers defense could still be good enough to stop, Aaron Rodgers being able to do much, but if their own team can't put up points, it's not going to really fucking matter.
Exactly. Ravens at Bucks.
I think the Bucks have an absolute opportunity to win, especially because of Baker's style of football. However, I think the Ravens will also very much want to abuse that and run all over the defense. So I'm going to lean Ravens, but I don't necessarily count the Bucks out. I think they have a real shot.
I think it's going to be a close game, but I do think the Ravens will win because King Henry is going to obliterate their defense.
Yep, exactly.
And the final game, Chargers at Cardinals.
I think the Chargers are playing better sound football. It's not flashy, it's not impressive, but I think they're playing better all-around football.
I agree.
So I'm going Chargers.
I agree with you. I 100% agree. Alrighty. Got anything else for this week?
Nope.
Nor do I. We want to say thank you for spending your time with us. If you made it all the way through all of this, we would like to say hit the likes, hit the subscribes. Let us know that you appreciate what we do here. All of this is done in-house. We do not have our own editor. I do the editing. We do all the talking. We don't even have a script most of the time.
We do the talking? I thought you were ad-libbing all this shit.
We don't even have a script. We are ad-libbing.
Oh. I was using the wrong words, but you know what I meant.
I think you were trying to say ventriloquism?
I don't know, editing in answers later? I don't know.
I mean, I am kind of a dummy, so...
Oh, that was bad.
That was horrible. We should probably end it there. So, whatever you put your mind to this week, we know you can accomplish it. Go ahead and do it. We also want to say that all of you out there are loved. Stay with us. Stay bearded.